Make sure the volume's up. All right. We are live on Facebook and we are live on Instagram. So tonight, I'm going to be a little bit different tonight. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So all your political questions, out the window. Not tonight. Tonight's not the night. Tonight we're talking about country music because we have a great example that just recently took place that has few people up in arms in many different ways. All right, first thing I will say that is political, and the only thing tonight from the other side is President Trump says everything must go to crap, poop, before we can do what? Bring it back. All right, so, we have a problem in America. We have one big problem. We have people who don't want to listen to people who have been there, done that. Big problem. All right, so Instagram, I'll be looking at you most because it's the only one that transfers over. So I've got a little spreadsheet here of what I'm going to talk about, but this better be my most shared video to all of your friends and family who are either young artists, young songwriters, or think they are. All right. And then also all the artists and songwriters out there. All right. So I'm going to get a little controversial in a fun way. I might even receive a text message from somebody. Who knows? We'll see. But I've seen some stuff recently and I'm like, man, you people are freaking hypocrites. Like the day is long. All right. So it's kind of like this. I will say a few political things just because it kind of brings in the pieces together. So like this whole thing about if you're sick, right? If you're sick and, you're really sick, well then there are treatments for that. But if you want to save the world and you want to save whatever, America, save the country, so wherever, just save the world. All right. Well, if you're a billionaire, like Bill Gates and all these clowns were, they raised like $400 billion. $400 freaking billion now. Think what you yourself could do with $1 million. You in your personal life. Think what you can do with just $1 million. But there's like all these billions of dollars that Gates and all these people raised, right? And they create a quote unquote vaccine. Weird. Why wouldn't you go into communities and towns, but especially third world countries first, and start with their water sources and clean their water up? Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't they clean up the environment around all of these places and these people all over the world, but again, start with third world countries first and then work your way to the more nicer. So the lowest level, dirtiest, all the way to what needs or don't need, right? So you have all these billions, so you would rather create a medicine, but you don't want to better the environment of which these people were breathing, which goes into your lungs and goes into your body, etc., 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 and also your water sources, which water also carries other things, not just for certain things in your body. So you create a residual. See where I'm going with this? Those of you who are in music based, you'll know where I'm going with this. So you create a thing that will, one, get people hooked. Two, it don't cure the problem. It treats the symptom. And it keeps people coming back. Music is just like that. And a lot of you don't want to talk about music because music is your escape, kind of like football or basketball or whatever it is that you watch, pickleball, whatever you're doing out there. A lot of you don't want to talk about music because it's your escape, and it's your escape from politics. It's your escape from arguments. It's your escape from troubles and strife and grief and sorrow and all these other things. You don't want to talk about it. But see, I'm the one You know that old song or the quote, I'm the one that got away? I'm the one that Nashville major record label should have never, ever, ever let slip out of the gate, as the saying is. I'm the very and only one with the leverage that I have to ruin everything, but ruin it in a good way for you to take power and empower yourself and know what you've been supporting is a bunch of trash. It's a bunch of hypocrites. It's incompetent hypocrites, incompetent and evil. There's two of them. President Trump says it's the best. He said there's stupid people and incompetent people, but then there's also smart people, but they're evil. And they know what they're doing, and they control every bit of you. Nashville, and it's not even Nashville, but because people think it is, I'm going to break that down in a minute, that it's not Nashville. It had to be a city somewhere, had to be a portal somewhere, had to be a headquarters somewhere. But what people think of Nashville, one, it's not Nashville. It's a secret society that controls everything. Every one of you that got riled up about Beyonce winning, why? If you said anything that, oh, Morgan Wallen should have won, or Hardy should have won, or all these other names, you're just as controlled as everybody else. All right? Because they're all in the same corrupt trash system. All controlled by the same corrupt, incompetent secret society of the top echelon of the major record labels. So see, a lot of people expose themselves on race. Sure, some people just don't like her because she's a different color. But we need to get down to what I call the brass knuckles. Let's get down to the facts of how it actually works. And then share this video to all your friends and family out there and show them this is how country music works. I've been there, done that. Been there. I moved to Nashville November 2007. My very first job in the music industry that everybody's butchered and twisted. Everybody and their mama thinks they're part of the industry now. They're not. Hate to break it to you, you're not. I'm glad to not be a part of it anymore personally, and I'll explain why, which anybody should see that when I get done with what I'm going to talk about. But everybody and their mama thinks they're in the industry. Moved to Nashville, holy crap. They call Nashville a 10-mile town because the city limit's 10 miles out. Every Waffle House, Huddle House, this house, that house, you name it. Everybody. What'd you move to Nashville for? Oh, I'm a singer-songwriter. The whole woods are full of them. In my Instagram timeline daily, I don't know what I did to get in the wrong algorithm system, but my freaking algorithm are all these sponsored ads of young artists. Oh, listen to my new single out. They've taken a word from the actual music industry and now they're using it and applying it to them. And all of it sounds like garbage. But I'm the bad guy for being straightforward and direct and saying you sound like hot trash. Some of them look like hot trash. All right. And they believe that quantity is what gets people. It's not. It's quality. And if you think that God let me go globally viral in military, government, and then also government, if you think that he let me go viral with having 2 Billboard hits for nothing, you're missing the whole point. All right. So, now, let's get back to, I'm going to do a little bit of history of country music because you got to know some history first. And then we're going to talk about the 2 things that you're controlled by. That's good when it's good, but bad when it's bad. Those 2 things are health and music. It's good when it's good, but it's bad when it's bad. But those 2 topics are the key things that most of you get a paper bag pulled over your head and they just slap you around and you'll go any way you want them to go because you live your life in either fear for health or the music side, you're in denial because you want to say, well, it's great music and it sounds good and oh, it feels good and oh. and you're missing the whole point, which is what I'm going to break down tonight. So, a little bit of history first. History of country music. So, music obviously has evolved a lot of different ways to Tulsa back since the 20s. All right, and we're going to talk about country music more specifically. So, not going to talk about all the other stuff, where music, opera, this, that, and other, pianos. We're just going to get on country music alone. But Acuff and Rose, so Roy Acuff and Fred Rose, they had this great idea. They're like, man, we need to protect our songs. We need a publishing company. We need to protect our songs. That way, we write these things. We give them to people out there, meaning give to your ears, etc., etc., etc. Then we need to find a way to reap this, right? Because it's our talent, it's our gift, and we're giving that to people. But we need to find a way to make this a business, all right? Make it work, all right? Because you do love music. We do love sitting around a campfire or whatever it is you're out, and you love music because it is a great escape. There's no doubt. Music is universal. It's one thing that is universal, all right? But from the 50s, the 40s and the 50s, when Billboard was established, Billboard was the only thing people knew. Billboard topped this. All right, the chart has changed through the years a lot of times. But country music was not popular. It was only for country folks, the bumpkins, the hillbillies, right? And it wasn't what people think. See, people want to look today at tour buses and the lights and the glam and all this other stuff and think that George Jones and Hank Snow and Hank Williams and all them had that. They didn't have that. All right, my grandfather, which is what ties me into what I started with music, was my grandfather was, they call them boarding mates back in the day. Today's terminology would be roommates. My grandfather was roommates with Hank Williams Sr. in Mobile, Alabama in 1943. All right, it was during the time when the war was really getting hot and heavy, the World War II, and Mobile, Alabama is a port city, all right, major port, all right, so that's where shipbuilding took place. Well, there were 45 or so thousand men that were in Mobile outside of your normal Mobile, Alabama population that were there simply for shipbuilding. So that's where my grandfather and Hank linked up. My grandfather already played guitar. My grandfather already toured the same circuits. My grandfather already was into honky-tonks and bars before he met Hank. All right, so that's where a lot of people need to know that. My grandpa toured those same circuits in the 1940s and the 50s. And back then, it wasn't like playing in arenas today. It wasn't like that. They'd pull up to an old country store, all right, hop on the back of a Cadillac and play songs for a crowd while the people pumped gas or went into the store. It was truly about the music then. It was truly about their gifts and their talents, and they shared it with people. And then radio was simply where you had to, know how to record a song back then, which cost a lot more because it was obsolete to the average person. It wasn't that popular to the average person. And the average person wasn't quitting to move to Nashville because, I have a dream and blah, 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 blah. No, if you quit and moved to Nashville, you were an outlaw back in that era. Just like my grandpa said, if you played the honky-tonks and bars in the 1940s and 50s, you were going to hell because it was a Bible Belt back then. It was a huge, thick Bible Belt. And if you even sang country music, you were going to hell to the mass majority of people in the South. And country music by radio wasn't even out of the South. This stuff can be, it's already won in the history books. So country music was a family, but it was country. But then they tried to involve the country a little bit more. That's why they wouldn't let Hank Williams play the Opry, because he had whiskey on his breath. There's a song about this. And they actually fired him from the Opry. Hank Williams moved to Shreveport, Louisiana. All right. That's where Hank Williams Jr. was born. That's why he has a song about it. Well, my mama met my daddy down in Alabama. They tied the knot. So here I am, born on the bayou on the Texas line, loving Louisiana, raised on jambalaya. There's Hank's song. So A lot of people don't know this. Nashville would not exist today if this didn't happen. Nashville would not be the port if this one freaking thing didn't happen. When the Opry fired Hank Williams, when Hank went to Shreveport, Louisiana, he took all that crowd with him because he was a singer, songwriter, and he had the personality to deliver the songs. He didn't write all his hits, but he wrote a good bit of them. He took that whole audience, and when that audience started going to Louisiana, traveling down there, guess who had to call him back? Old jealous Porter Wagner had to call him back. Porter Wagner did not like Hank Williams. All right, so a lot of them didn't because Hank stole the show, because Hank wrote and sang, and he had a great delivery of his songs. Hank died at a young age, but they did manage to get him back to the Opry right before he died, and that's how they salvaged the Grand Ole Opry. But then also through the years, they developed more of a family-oriented thing, and that's when whiskey and drinking was a little bit more allowed on the Opry because they didn't want any kind of drinking songs on the Opry. So that's what allowed it to stay in Nashville. Country music originally started in Bristol, Tennessee, Bristol, Virginia, right on the line. A lot of people don't know that. All right, but Hank Williams. So then you had the 50s, your 60s. That's when all your real heavy twang. Webb Pierce. Webb Pierce is the one who had a guitar-shaped pull. All right, Webb Pierce was known for his nasal, real nasal, heavy nasal whine. Webb Pierce is the one who went to Hawaii and discovered the pedal steel guitar and had them put that in his music. All right, brought the pedal steel into country. That's what created that, the real heavy twang. So when you listen to Webb Pierce, go listen to him. A lot of you have heard some new age singer take a clip and put it over in one of his songs, which is atrocious because of how they're trying to incorporate all the old school to play on your emotions. But Webb Pierce has a song that George Strait opens up with, used to at all of his concerts. So a lot of people complain because Strait would take one of the slots that they wanted to hear of another song of his, and he would play stuff that he loves. See, that shows you that country music fans right there have no appreciation for the artists and also the songwriters and the artist as an artist. All right? Because when George Strait wants to sing what he wants to sing, he wants you to love what he loves. That's why he would open up with Webb Pierce's "There Stands the Glass, Fill It Up to the Brim." But Webb Pierce's version matched that pedal steel guitar, of which he's attributed for putting in to country music. Not just the straight up steel guitar, but the pedal steel. Big difference. All right. So when you listen to Webb Pierce, go Google this later, YouTube it. You'll hear him go, "There stands the glass," and then he gets back into his tone again. But in every opening or every startup, you'll hear him go, "There stands the glass." So you need to know a history of country music. Because what they're doing to country music right now is a disgrace and a mockery to everything that was built by every honky-tonk legend who were either straight-up artists and or songwriters. Now, I can't go over the whole history of country music, but here's another great example, really quick. David Allan Coe, The Ride, all right, talks about Hank Williams. Well, he stopped that car just south of Nashville, and he turned that car around. He said, "This is where you get off, boy, because I'm going back to Alabama." And as I stepped out of that Cadillac, I said, "Mister, many thanks." He said, "You don't have to call me Mister. The whole world calls me Hank." All right, that song and David Allan Coe, I worked for the guy who took that song up to the charts, as a hit. I worked for that guy. Great guy, industry guy. You've never heard of him. All right, so David Allan Coe, the reason why I bring up David Allan Coe is because the old school country music also used to help other artists and other songwriters out. They also, if they didn't write their music, they gave credit to all the songwriters who did write their music. They don't do that anymore. No one thanks or even says, "Oh man, this is a great song by so-and-so. no one does that because as things got bigger on the internet, they've had to try to what? Salvage their industry, right? From you finding out that you've been controlled the whole time and that you, the fan, have no control over who gets signed and who you're listening to. You don't. We're getting there in a minute. But David Allen Coe, the reason I bring that up is because the loyalty and the friendships and the camaraderie. So Johnny Paycheck, all right, George Strait recently did a cover of his, the old violin song. But George Strait, the old violin, but old Paycheck had it first. But Paycheck was one of those guys, he loved country music so much. But what? He just couldn't ever eclipse. He went to David Allen Coe and he begged him, please give me a song. Please give me a hit. They were buddies. And he gave him a song that he thought was trash that he wrote. It ended up being Paycheck's biggest hit of his whole career. Take This Job and Shove It. And old Coe said if he'd have known it's going to be that big of a hit, he'd have kept it for himself, right? But the whole point of that is the loyalty factor. There's no loyalty in country music anymore because now it's so popular, all right? But the people who control that, most of them are either born into it and or they're doing a lot of brown nosing and a lot of other stuff too, if you know what I mean. And this is why Kid Rock called out Bruce Springsteen not terribly long ago. He said, yes, I've tickled a few, you know what, in my lifetime because that's how the game is played. But I've never sucked one and I've never kissed anyone's ass to get there. And if you go look at Kid Rock's discography and you look at his hits, he don't have that many hits as far as the singles go. His albums sold great because he was a hustler, right? And he was a little controversial with his lyrics, etc., etc., etc. But still, the people that he attracted, he sold a lot more albums. He didn't have a lot of success on the chart with singles. This is why everybody needs to know this, but especially your friends and family who are singer-songwriters, but especially if they're in Nashville right now thinking they're going to get a record deal or they're spending all their time trying to cover songs, always on it. Stop covering songs. You're never going to get there doing that. You're wasting all your precious time already singing a song that someone else has already made a hit with. Nobody wants to hear your version of that. All right, unless you're playing in a little tiki bar off the coast of Florida somewhere and they want entertainment there, that's fine. But when you're on your social media, nobody wants to hear that stuff. Nobody's sitting there going, oh my gosh, you sing this song better than Carrie Underwood. Oh man, it's not. It's not. You may have one little fan on there that maybe thinks that you look good in that bikini all over your Instagram that most females are doing now. You can't find a fully clothed girl hardly ever on their Instagram. All right, so let me get back on topic here before I go rolling off on that because I could roll on that forever. All right, so trust. Trust is a big thing. But a lot of you are trusting the wrong people, you're trusting the wrong sources, and you're listening to the wrong things. And then you're also doing exactly what everybody did with politics. You thought it was too big. It's too big. We can't fix it. It's out of our control. There's nothing we can do. You're the consumer. You most certainly can control it. You're the consumer. Most of you just don't want to because you don't want to sacrifice. You don't want to sacrifice it. And because you don't want to sacrifice it, you would prefer all these incompetent people to keep doing what? Lying to people, ruining people's lives, ruining people's careers, etc., etc., etc. Then the ones they do sign, they're controlling them and all kinds of other things. And then when they go do something stupid, or they're this chick that they all of a sudden show at a football game all the time, you want to do what? Every time you comment on a post, algorithms go up. Every time you comment about a chick sitting at a football game, that's exactly what they want. It don't matter how atrocious you are. It don't matter how ferocious you are. It don't matter what you are with this person, what side of the aisle you're on. You're doing exactly what they want. Publicity. And you contribute to it. You're the consumer. You have every authority and power to stop. But you don't. And you don't want to listen to people like me, who you should want to listen to, because I'm the little guy. Right? I'm the little guy. So I'm going to go ahead and do this now just because it's the fun of it. And then I'll get into the industry talk. So recently, someone that I know gets on a show, because they're all face and big name. And what do? To Republicans and conservatives. Republicans and conservatives. I'm not talking about people who are awake, in the know a little more than others, know a lot more than... I'm not talking about you. This goes to your average Republican conservative who just, oh, Fox News, oh, God, Fox, oh, Fox. You are the same country music fan who just, oh, man, oh, gosh, Morgan Wallen, oh, Morgan, oh, you look like Martina McBride 2.0, but now all of a sudden you look like a Dollar General special, like some little hit with a shaved head. But I'm sure you've always been that in heart. You knew who you were. This is what's wrong with country music. Morgan Wallen goes from freaking Martina McBride 2.0, all long hair, got the makeup on these TV shows, got the leather jacket, now and then had a man bun, had the high tops on, and all. Then all Nashville had to do to him, all the record label had to do was go, man, put on a t-shirt, regular old t-shirt, Carhartt, put on some blue jeans, untuck the shirt, put you a pair of boots on, put your little duck hat on or camo hat on, and let your hair grow out, cut your little sideburns, make you look like a skinhead who had meetings back in the 50s doing other things, because he obviously did drop a certain word that would tie in with that, all right? And then all of a sudden, he's a heartthrob for all the little country girls out there. Now tell me what part of George Strait ever changed who George Strait was to be who he is. See, there was a change in country music in 1990 that you didn't know about, and you would have had no reason to know about it if you weren't in the intricacies of the industry. 1990, the Billboard changed. All right, and it became a little bit more political. So everybody who was signed from 89 back, and a few right there on the cusp of that, so right around 90 to 95, there was a few in there. Obviously, Mark Chestnut, Clay Walker, Ricky Lynn Gregg. There was a few. There's a name you've never heard of, a lot of you. All right, but all those groups back in that time, Black Hawk. Shenandoah was a little bit before that, but you had Highway 101, the Forrester Sisters. We had a lot of people in that early era 90s that most people, you've never even heard of them to this day. All right, David Lee Murphy, who wrote all of his songs. You had Clint Black. All those early 90s still get a hall pass because things didn't instantly go downhill real fast. All right. Then it changed again in 2012. It went really deep. Now, we're going to get on that in a minute when I do the breakdown. But there's one person out there, John Rich. I call you out, John Rich. I'm sure you may even text me if you even see this. That's fine. If you want to be all hoity-toity and have some words with me, that's fine. I can take it. But I got you cornered for a reason. All right? I know everything about you. I know how you made it in country music. All right? You were an original member of Lone Star, and you wanted more face time, so they fired you. All right? Be honest about it. It's okay. You're already a hit artist now. You're a great writer. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem with it is that you want to be this person, that you want to perceive people to perceive you that you're bigger than what you are. All right? You're not. You're big, but you're not that big. All right? And I know your little slogan is big and rich. And I know that you're saying, well, we're big and we're rich. You have all these slogans out there. But recently you were on a show, John, and you called out Garth Brooks and you called out Brad Paisley. Now, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. All right? Whenever I do the breakdown of how country music actually works, which I've done before, but I'm going to do a little bit more intricately this time, you're going to see that what John did was political based. All it does is keep the pot stirred up. It goes back to health. Are we trying to figure the problem out to treat the problem? Or are we just over here dabbling with the symptoms of it? All right, and keeping it going. That's what John did when he tried to call out Garth Brooks and Brad Paisley. John says that there are conservative artists out there that are being squeltered from saying what they want to say, because if they say that they're a President Trump supporter, or if they're a Republican or conservative, that they're going to be what? Squashed. The only people who could be squashed or canceled would be signed major label artists, for one. So let's tell the audience who you were talking about. You're not talking about people like me who were on the Billboard, but I wasn't top 25, and I also wasn't signed with a major record label, which is a lot bigger. See, you're calling out someone who's known to be a liberal, all right, saying that, oh, they're conservative. They're not conservative. There's no part of Garth Brooks that's conservative. I don't care personally because he's not hurting or harming anybody. I don't care about his personal beliefs. All right, he's not out there all the time. He's said a few things, sure, but who hasn't, right? And then at what point do you squelter their First Amendment right? All right. Now, if I got to Garth Brooks, I would say, look, Garth, here's what's going on lawfully. You might want to read this first. And then he might go, yeah, I didn't know that. So you do that. You don't keep political controversy going like John did. Brad Paisley, he played for a Biden thing. All right. That right there, if John knew what was going on lawfully by military laws, military government, military occupation, and also continuity of operations, he wouldn't be saying any of that in the first place. All right. But I have spoken with him. And he says, well, why wouldn't I know about this? I have buddies who are special forces. Woo-hoo-hoo. Woo! Wow. Well, maybe because they know you probably couldn't keep your mouth shut because you weren't ever in the military. Maybe you should probably think about that. All right. Now, I personally don't have a problem with you, John, if you ever hear this. All right. But the point I do have a problem with is the fact that you want to get on these shows out there. You have a face, you have the platform, and you have the opportunity. If you really wanted change in country music, you would tell the fans out there how country music actually works, because it wouldn't hurt you. Not where you are right now. You're not with a label. You may have your own, but you're not with a major anymore from that standpoint. So it wouldn't hurt you. And you would do what Ricky Van Shelton should have done, and or David Lee Murphy, and or a few others in history, but especially Ricky Van Shelton, who had multiple top 5s, 10s, and a lot of number 1 hits, and his label dropped him completely out of nowhere, not terribly long ago, in the last 20 years. All right, just dropped one of the greatest artists of all time, dropped him. You would say, fans, this is how country music works. Here's how I know. And they would listen to you, John, because you are John Rich of Big and Rich. You have had number 1 hits. You have had top 5 hits. You have had top 10 hits. They won't listen to people like me because I've never had a number 1 and I've never been in the top 25. But I've been on the same freaking Billboard chart that has number 1 to number 60. So calling out Garth Brooks and calling out Brad Paisley would be like this. It would be like you wiping your butt with Charmin every year for 30 years and never using any other toilet paper. But every year and every time you took a dookie and you wiped your butt with it, you got some kind of rash on your ass. All right? And that would be like you wiping your butt with that toilet paper for 30 years, all right, getting a rash every time you wipe your hiney, all right, and then waiting 30 years to go, Sherman, you're a piece of crap, blah, 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 blah. Why didn't you do that? No, why didn't you stop using Charmin? I mean, it's really that simple. So John Rich is saying, Garth Brooks and Brad Paisley, why don't y'all come out and say this, 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 and this? no, John, why don't you tell the fans how country music actually works? Since the cat's out of the bag now in another way, the toothpaste is out of the tube. Streaming platforms have destroyed music. All music. It's destroyed it. It's destroyed the industry. Now we might as well start all over again with a system that works for everybody, based off talent first. So, this is kind of fun. And this is what's awesome about this. They never dreamt, I'm getting now into the labels. I'm going to do the breakdown, but the labels that I met with, all major record labels, met with all of them. Sony Nashville. Warner Brothers, Nashville. Also a subsidiary of Sony, Riser House. All right. And then I had other kind of talks. So a producer I had was a big hit producer, and he dropped everything off, talked to Broken Bow Records and a few others. So we've been around the block a time or two. I've met with Universal. I've met with quite a few of them. All right. And naturally, I was way too traditional for them. And then I'm going to get into some other things that they said in a minute. But first, when we were doing our marketing campaigns and we were going to fans out there, all right, we were dropping messages. We were sending probably 5,000, 6,000 emails a week, things like that, trying to get people on emails and then, on Instagram and whatnot. I even have one of those apps that you would pay for, like $50 a month, and it would target fan bases out there by the hashtags, etc. And it would add people. It would add different people who were following groups like that and try to build your base up and whatnot. Those things don't work. All right. So they don't bring quality. Let's just say it that way. So when we were doing that, here's the common thing that I would hear from quote-unquote country fans. And even some of my own hometown. One of my hometowns. All right. So people would say, well, we love music because it's great, not because of the Billboard chart. You focus too much on Billboard, not focusing on music that's great. That was one thing we would hear a lot of. The other comment we would hear a lot is, we've never heard of you before, or I've never heard of you before, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, isn't that kind of the point of it? I mean, isn't that the kind of the point of marketing? But see, a lot of fans out there, they do know Billboard exists because there's Billboard Awards, all right? And then you go over to the discography and all those #1 hits that your favorite artist is having. Billboard. That's it. All right. So what's funny is there's a combo here. One, the major record labels that I've been in and out of and their excuses that they gave me as why they didn't sign me, they never dreamt that I would ever blow up in social media. Never dreamt it. No one in the history of country music has ever exposed how country music works. No one. Not Ricky Van Shelton. He should have. Now, all due respect to him, I don't know how he quit, tipped his hat, and walked away without saying a word, but he did. So, I respect his wishes for doing so. Before Doug Supernall passed, I had reached out to him. I was going to write with Doug Supernall. Boy, all of the industry outcast him because he had a few mental health issues that were not real big deals. But, they were in another regard for him. But he sought help, etc., all those things. But you talking about getting totally railroaded by the industry. You got people out there like Rick Trevino. Rick Trevino had a bunch of hits in the 90s. Boop. I've got more followers on my Instagram than he does. All right, that's sad. We're talking about a guy who had #1 hits. Great songs. All right, so, but you take all these artists like that, but Ricky Van Shelton, he was the one who was dropped like that, had a ton of hits. Mainstream now, we're talking about mainstream country. And for those of you that don't know Ricky Van Shelton, you're already in trouble. But Ricky Van Shelton, he's the very one who probably should have exposed it all because he had the stature and the clout and he had the audience at the time to be able to burn it down. But at that time, country music had a mafia, all right? Music mafia. They were relentless on some things. So it would have been, would they have seen his side or not? Because it is a secret society back there. All right, but it's not so much anymore because all your old school guys, a lot of them are passed on, and or they're trying to stay hip, as the saying is, and they don't want to stir the pot too much. So they want to do what? They want to try to get more hits and stay in the game, right? So they got this little secret society, right? But some of them got out of it. And Ricky Van Shelton's one of them. All right, there's a few others you can name, but we won't name them for time's sake. But Ricky Van Shelton should have exposed the industry. I'm the very one the record label should have never let go, ever, whatsoever. And so when the fans out there say, I've never heard of you, and then fans say, oh, we love great music, we don't focus on Billboard, blah, blah, everything's backwards. And I'm going to show you how. Elvis Presley's the one that said that without a song, the day would never end. Without a song, the road would never bend. Without a song, a man ain't got a friend without a song. So I keep singing my song, right? Without a song. You wouldn't have me sitting here talking about country music without a song. The song is the whole topic of why we're here, talking about it. All right? So, but most people never think about how did that song reach your playlist or your ears? How did it get there? And a lot of you will still trust that quote-unquote system. But where it really, really matters, it may not be for you, the consumer, but where it really, really matters is for you, the consumer, though, who have either children or family members or friends who have children who have a dream and or an artist, songwriter who are trying to move to Nashville or maybe already moved to Nashville, uprooted their life. A lot of people have ruined relationships because of their quote-unquote dream. And if they'd have met someone like me who could say, I wouldn't do that if I were you. You got a good thing. If it works, if music works out, great. But you got a good thing. You don't need to move to Nashville. If someone would have met me, but see, that's how God's timing works. That's how God's timing works. I have, obviously, where did I put it? Right here. So I now have 3 #1 best-selling books. All right, got this on birthday, so it's kind of cool. I'll put that up there. #1 best-selling author. One of those books is the exposure of country music. So if you think I'm crazy, go ahead and think so, but I have the records to prove it. I also have the 2 Billboard hits to prove it. All right, so you can think I'm crazy, whatever it is, but if you're an artist, songwriter, you're going to keep spinning your wheels. Unless you're willing to do what Kid Rock talked about and a lot of it, then you're going to just keep spinning your wheels and wasting your time, wasting your money, and wasting your life. When you could listen to someone like me and my team can help you without you spending any money. All right, my team can help you at the end of this video. My team can put you in the right spot to help you out. So if you think that God let me go globally viral for nothing, it wasn't just for military and government. It wasn't just to show people what's going on with the 9-year special operation going on. We need every single facet cleaned out. And you, the consumer of country music, need to start listening and start watching what you're purchasing and what you're supporting. Because you're also supporting incompetence at that level too. And you need someone who's been there, done that. All right, so the song. No one ever thinks about how the song got to you in your ears and your playlist. Or no one thinks about why you're buying these expensive tickets and you're going to these concerts. All right, so I'm going to break down the industry really, really quick. All right, so in the early 90s, all right, what I was talking about, when Billboard changed in 1990, all right, the Billboard chart was the Hot 100, all right, the hot country songs, what they called it, all right. So that changed, all right. It became Billboard Country Airplay. Now the Billboard Hot 100 and Hot 200 have to do with downloads, all right, like your iTunes and things like that. That's why that's important when an artist like me puts out a song and I say, hey, pre-save this. A lot of you still aren't doing that. I don't know how many thousands of followers, I think right at 800,000. My numbers show you're not doing that. All right. So it shows a lot of you are just coming to me for knowledge for one topic, but you're not willing to work with me on what I do in my fun life and what I do and what put me here. I had 2 Billboard hits before I went viral with politics. All right. So it shows you don't. All right. So there's that. So the pre-save. So the Hot 100 and the Hot 200, Billboard Hot 100, Billboard Hot 200, have nothing to do with the labels and their country airplay. And the other most common thing that I heard, and this ties in to how the industry works, from every fan that we ever marketed to, the one thing we heard the most, which is the most ignorant thing a fan could say, but they don't realize it, is, I don't listen to radio anymore. That's still how country music works, though, is via radio. For example, I was at a songwriter round about 3 weeks before this person blew up on TikTok. And it was an inside job. Someone blew this person up on purpose. All right. But I'm not going to name the artist. I only called out one tonight because if he wants to text with some bullcrap, go right on ahead. The truth is the truth. The facts were the facts. This is how it works. So this artist blew up. The very thing that was in the headline articles of all music industry magazines and also on social media who copied those will major label. So major label signed this artist. It says, will they take the song to where? Country radio. So see, the download didn't matter. All the people who started streaming and downloading that song that blew up didn't matter. All right. They signed her because she blew up on TikTok and all of a sudden her audience was there. Right? 100, 200,000. I have 800,000. I write all my songs. And we're going to get into that in a minute. Of everything else I have. Why didn't they sign me when I blew up? All right. So it shows you the political side of it, but also it shows you it's all rigged. All right. Because someone made her go viral on TikTok. It's a female. Made her go viral. Females are a lot harder to market than males are in country music. That's also a fact. All right. It's data shows that females will not even support female artists more than they'll support male artists. All right. So there's that. So in 1990, Billboard went to country airplay. If you went to Morgan Wallen's discography right now, you'll see country airplay, and then you'll see hot country songs. You can click on it. You can actually go to Wikipedia. It's the best one. You can click on all the chart on the top. You can click and read what chart it is. Then go back. Guess where all their #1 hits are scored the most out of? Billboard country airplay. And there's a lot of these artists that you love. They wouldn't have a #1 hit if it wasn't for Billboard country airplay. That's where they figure out. That's where the monopoly is. This is where you got to really pay attention. All of you artists and songwriters, you really need to pay attention to this part especially. Country major record labels have a monopoly with radio. All right. So it don't matter if you listen to radio or not. It does not matter. This is how their system works. The major record label takes their artist, and when the radio answers the phone, boom. Guess who they get on there? All the major record labels. Because the radio guys, they're also in a monopoly. They're also in their own system. That's why they have this thing in Nashville called Country Radio Seminar, CRS. A lot of artists and songwriters who have never had a hit, don't even have quality music, they're all going down there trying to meet the radio guys. So kudos to you for hearing about CRS, but you don't need to be down there until you actually have a song with a team, a Billboard team, independent and or major record label. They're not going to help you out. It does not help you. Building a relationship with them right now does not help you. Until you have a song that goes through the system, your song is never going on any activator or indicator station whatsoever. Now, I have to be careful because I have friends that are in radio that are at stations that aren't what they call reporting stations. And they're just as important because they're in small towns and they play my music and they play it out there and the people hear it. But they're not what they call a reporting station. They don't report that song in order for me to collect royalties. So it matters in one way, but it doesn't in another. Because when you look at the amount of listeners that just happen to hear your song at the moment that they play it, whatever time of the day it is, the amount of people that are actually going to go, oh my gosh, who is this person? Never heard this person. And flood up. There's not that many people. All right. So there's artists out there that'll say, hey, check out my song. It's on 94.9 The Dog in Odessa, Texas. And call in and request it. Ladies and gentlemen, unless they're from that little area and or they have, oh yeah, we'll play it and it's not a reporting station, then they'll play it. But there's a system to how a song goes through and gets to you. So let's break this down as simple as possible. So a lot of you don't even know that there's a system in Nashville for songwriters alone. And those guys are even more political. Boy, you talking about politics. You talking about brown nosing and all the other stuff. You talking about backstabbing. You want to talk about some dirty politics? The songwriter getting a publishing deal is 100 times worse than trying to get a record deal. All right, so the labels, this is how it shows you. If you'll listen, especially you artists and songwriters, this is what shows you that it's a dirty political system. Is this right here. If it were about talent, if it were truly about talent, the first thing you would go after first is an artist and a songwriter who can do both. But see, here's the thing. They don't want to sit around and wait for an artist to find the inspiration. So they have publishing houses where guys and gals sit all day and write songs all day long. They used to make money with it. In the 90s, they used to pay them what they call a draw. And they'd get a draw. And then they'd have X amount of songs to turn in, and the publisher may keep 5 of the 30 that they wrote, or 35 or whatever. But they'd have a number they had to hit. And they'd pick the best songs out of it. One publishing company that I was with in Nashville years ago, this is one company, we had 200,000 songs in the catalog. All right, so I don't want to hear some BS about, oh, it's a great song. It's not great. It's only great because it's supposed to be great. It's not great because you think it's great. It's not great because you discovered it. You didn't discover anything. You got in your vehicle and or someone told you to check out this new song. You didn't discover it because you discovered it. You didn't go to my profile and go, man, this guy has great quality music. I'm going to follow him. You don't share my stuff like you share Morgan Wallen. You don't share my stuff like you share all these others. You consumers out there, you don't do that. Because you're told to like what you like. You're told to love what you love. And all of you people out there raising hell over Beyonce and saying Morgan Wallen or Hardy and all these should have won it, they're the same system. Same system. Same group of people. Same everything. All right, so you don't want to listen. And you keep supporting the incompetent labels and the incompetent radio and the system that puts it there. It is most definitely a system there. It don't just end up on a playlist for nothing. All right. There's a system there. All right. So publishing houses have hit songwriters. So when you see Morgan Wallen on a discography as a songwriter, you got to look at the other names there. The odds that Morgan, and he might, there's a few that might be. But most of the time when you see all those other names on there, and I know a lot of those people, I know they're pulling those lines out of those songs. And because the industry has become diluted and because the industry is now getting disrupted by streaming platforms, now their monetary system is being exposed in another manner. Not to you, the fans, yet, because y'all don't want to listen to people like me, but the monetary system's getting disrupted. So what they're doing now is taking a few of their artists and put them in the rooms where they'll do what? Draw the royalty too. All right, it's not because they're great songwriters. They already have songwriter farms, if you will. We'll call it a farm. They already have all the hit songwriters they can go to at any moment, and or what we call pitching songs. So where I made my name in country music the most, years ago, I met all the producers. I went to a bunch of older hit writers. I've worked with a lot of hit songwriters. I went to them and I said, hey, I know so-and-so, 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 and so-and-so. I can take your music to so-and-so. I learned who the producers are. I built relationships with those producers. I pitched songs to those producers. You don't want to go to A&R. A&R, Artists and Repertoire is what that stands for. They don't do jack diddly doo-doo for artists anymore. If you look at what this little thing is called a pitch sheet, we get this little thing called a pitch sheet. And it's got all the artists on there. And it says what label they're with, which if you're in the industry, you already know. But for those that don't know that, you got this thing called a pitch sheet. P-I-T-C-H. All right. Names, labels, and what style of songs they're looking for, and who's producing the album. Well, if you know that producer, then it depends on if you email them or if you drop an old school CD off like some of them still like, and you go have a meeting and or you play songs straight to them. And there's some songwriters who'll take their guitar in there and play it straight to them. All right, hit songwriters. Play it straight to the producer where they can hear the feel and the vibe. It's called a pitch sheet. All right, so there's a whole system y'all don't know about. Whole system you don't know about. Now it's cool when it's cool, but it's not cool anymore. It's dirty and political for this one reason. Again, if it were about talent, then they should be wanting the best of the best. You should want an artist who can write solo quality songs the same as what you're putting out there. All right? Now, my styles don't fit country music right now. There ain't no doubt. You listen to my stuff, it's hardcore, heavy fiddle on it, and heavy steel guitar. Mine's old 90s country, 80s, 70s. Real driven. All right? But mine wouldn't fit on the market, period, right now because country music fans like all this boo-bop and all this other bullcrap. Sounds like putting a rap song in a blender and blending it up. I call it doo-doo on a loop because that's all it is. It's on a loop, what they call a loop. It's the same chords. And all you got to do is take a girl, some moonshine and or whiskey or beer, whatever drink. All you got to do is take a girl, a drink, and a truck and say the word love a few times, and that's it. And all you got to do is take those 4 words, put them in a blender, take them out, rearrange them on that same little loop, and rearrange that loop a little bit, and it's the same bullcrap over and over. And fans are going, oh my gosh, oh, this new song, oh. And you're like, what the it's really, it's trash. It's the same stuff. You don't even know quality music anymore. But what's weird about it is the same people claim they love Alan Jackson, George Strait, and 90s country. I don't get that. It don't even sound remotely close to the same, and it's not the same quality. And also, you can't duplicate it in person like you can 90s country. So they call it a 360 breakdown. It's called a 360 deal. This is how you make money in music. This is where the labels make money. 1, you have merchandise, which come through concerts, tours, and shows. And then you have your royalties. Well, if you're an artist who don't write any of your music, boop! That one goes out. I wanted to make a joke with my finger, but I probably better not because my mom will watch this later. So I'll eliminate the middle finger second. But I would love to make a pun with that. But so you remove that finger there, right? Remove one of the 3. If an artist don't write any of their music, they don't get any royalties. The songwriters do. So that leaves what? Tours, concerts, shows, and then merchandise. Who supports that? You, the consumer, does. You're the one that has to pay to get a concert ticket. So see, you only know top 25 of the Billboard chart. This is why it's so hard to break down country music, because you got to break down how the chart works, and you got to break down how the labels and radio were too, simultaneous. So the concerts, the tours. Well, guess who has a conglomerate monopoly with all the sponsors? The major record labels. Because the major record labels that I just named, all of them, so a few of them I didn't name, so like Capitol, all right, Atlantic, Sony, Broken Bow, now they're considered major, Broken Bow, and then also Big Machine, Taylor Swift, all right, Big Machine, they're now considered major, but your traditionals like Warner Brothers, Sony, Capitol, Atlantic, all right, and then also MCA, and then you had a few others out there, Arista and like RCA, some of those, but still your major. When they call radio, do the radio guys go, oh, man, you're a new agent over at Sony? Well, you're going to have to fall back in line because we got another little label over here in Tulsa, Oklahoma that's blah, blah, blah. No, they don't. They don't do that. They are top priority. So same thing with the concerts and the tours. The sponsors out there, Bud Light, Budweiser, all these sponsors out there, you think they ever question how the system works? No, they don't, because they know you are going to pay to be there. Your butt's going to be sitting there and your eyes are going to be on those advertisements, and or you're going to buy that beer. And the what? The wheels on the bus go what? Round and round, because you don't want to listen to someone like me how it works and how it's all rigged, how it's rigged from the start. You don't love country music because the music's great, because you discovered it. You love it because it's supposed to be great, and it has a dirty system that it goes through that comes to you, and you're told to love it. You're told to like it. And then they know that you're not going to ever listen to someone like me. And I'm not the only one that's been screwed over in country music. And so then you hear like people like the little small towns that I'm from, right? Oh, you suck. Your music sucks. You just weren't good enough. You're a sore loser. You just weren't good enough. The labels don't like you because you suck. And you know how ignorant you are? Oh, do I want to roast some names right now? But vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. All right. So I won't do that to you, you little nobodies out there, because you didn't know that you didn't know, and you don't know how ignorant you actually are. But I would love to name you right here. Oh, would I love to. But that would be what? Even though you're a nobody and no one knows you, that would be publicity for you. And you'd tell everybody, oh, look, I'm rent-free in his head, blah, blah, blah. No, you're just ignorant. You're ignorant, and you're in my head because you're ignorant. All right, but all these people, you suck, your music sucks, and oh, you're trash, your music's garbage, and oh, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, my music sucks so bad that I have the same musicians on all my records that Morgan Wallen has, that George Strait has. All the artists you can name, I have the same musician in every single slot on my record that I produced. I got those musicians in there because of my relationships with them. They're also in a thing called a union. All right, they're in a union. All right, but I made friends with them, and they know what I've done and what leverage I have if you'll start listening yourself. If you'll pull your head out your rear end, take your emotions and your feelings and divorce those from you, and listen to how this stuff works, and take control as the consumer and apply this as the consumer, then you will start getting quality artists and quality music in your life. Because if music is universal, and if music is something that soothes you, then it shouldn't matter what name it is and who it is if it sounds good. But especially a guy like me who's been on the same Billboard chart that 99% of country music's never heard of me and never heard of a few of my buddies. I can name names right now, and I will. I'll drop a few out there here shortly. I'll give a few names to go look up. But again, country music, if you will know how it works, and you can know that, now that you have me, you can know how it works. If you'll go look up the Billboard chart, don't support the names you've heard. Find all the names you haven't heard and stream and download the ever-living crap out of what you like, out of those artists that you've never heard of. That's how we flip the system around. Know how it works. Why are you on the internet if you don't know how an app works? Same thing. It's the same thing. Know why you're here. Know why you exist. Know the power you have as a consumer. Same thing. So when people say your music sucks, they don't realize how ignorant they are. Every song that I've written, the first album I ever did, hit producer and hit songwriter. Big name. We had to go with big names because the guy had not heard a lot of my music at the time that I've written, right? So we went with big names. So the first 6 songs I recorded, my first Billboard hit, Real Cool Kinda Hot, was not written by me. It was actually written by him and a few other hit writers, all right? But the first 6 songs on my first, what we call an EP, all right? Not a full album, but an EP, all right? My first 6 songs, Boys Will Be Boys, 23rd Psalms, South Side of Heaven, 19, and Real Cool Kinda Hot. I didn't write those. But I've written with a lot of those writers, and every other song that I've put out outside of one other song called That Guy, I didn't write that one either, a buddy of mine did in Mustard Shoals, Alabama. Other than that, every other song I've put out, I've either co-written or solo written. And I've written a lot of solo songs that all of my hit songwriter friends are like, dude, you're one hell of a songwriter. Now, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm actually proud and happy that I'm not with a major record label. No matter what people think, oh, it would put you here, here, and here. No, they sign multiple artists a quarter that you've never heard of and you will never hear of. So you're looking at the lottery winner. You're looking at the lottery winners versus looking at all those who play the lottery. And that's where you're going wrong out there as the consumer. All right. But there's guys like me who know how to get on the Billboard chart without a major record label. That is where I'm solely different than everybody else out there. Every other singer-songwriter who's been on Billboard, that's where I'm different. Is one, I write and produce all of my songs now. All right. I also went on Billboard and been on top 40 without a major record label. And all the major record labels let me walk out of town with some stupid comments that they made, ignorant and incompetent, probably the better terms for it, incompetent and ignorant comments that they made that shows how rigged the system is. So let's get on those a little bit, and then I'll flip over to a few other things. All right, so I'm sitting in one of the major record labels. I had a current Billboard hit song on Billboard. Sitting there talking to the major record label executive. We take a CD of mine, old school CD. I had 10 or 12 songs on there I'd written. They wanted me to bring in material that I had not recorded yet. The best of my catalog. So I got with a buddy of mine who's had 40 years in the industry, quite a few #1 hits. We picked out my best. All right. I'm sitting there with the head executive, and the assistant. All right. And I had a liaison with me. Sitting there. Oh, man, we love your story. We love your music, man. We love you. You know, your looks, your height, your this, your personality. We love this, and that. Sat there and played all of my songs. I played her a song that I had written about someone that I loved and cherished that passed away. It's called Still Be You. All right. And I solo wrote this one. All right. And that was during the days that I don't care about it. I'll be straight up honest with you. I was drunk when I wrote it. I was drunk on wine. I had been depressed because this person that passed away was very close to me, very dear to me. I'd never written in the chord a drop D before. A lot of you out there in music, you know what I'm talking about. I'd never written in that before, and I didn't even know how to really play in drop D. And one day I was so depressed over this person dying, I dropped the D down, dropped the E string down to D. I figured it out, and I wrote that song that day. Luckily, I recorded it while I was writing it because I couldn't even play it whenever I pepped up my step, as the saying was, and I kind of found my light and everything. Luckily, I'd recorded that. I sent it to a buddy of mine. He's like, dude, man, where'd you get these chords from? Oh my God, this is beautiful, but what were you doing? And I was like, man, I said that good old Chardonnay had it going, bud. But, I never talked about the emotions I have with people. I wrote them. All right. She loved this song. And then all the others I'd written. And here's what a major record label executive says. Derek, have you ever thought of a publishing deal? Here I am now, independent artist and songwriter on the Billboard, knowing they know my team, they know my Billboard team, independent team, and I hear, have you ever considered a publishing deal? Oh, so you want me to drop my artistry, you want me to stop artistry, and you want my craft, and you want all of my craftsmanship and expertise, you want my skills at songwriting for your shitty artists who can't write. That's what you're saying. That's what they're saying to you. If you're an artist songwriter out there and you've ever been that, that's exactly what they're saying. They're saying, hey, you're a great writer, and we want your craft, and we already have money at stake with these artists over here. We're pumping all these millions into. All right, the fans don't know how this stuff works, right? We're pumping all these millions in here, all right, and we want your songs to put on our artists. Here I was, an artist, independent, already a big deal on Billboard, artist and songwriter, already in the very little half percentile. A lot of fans out there don't know that 99% of artists to this day still don't write all their music or any of their music whatsoever. And here I am, can solo write just as good as I can actually co-write. All right, but there's a few problems again. Quantity, right? They need it in a timely manner, and they feel like artists can't produce quality songs in a timely manner of which they need them to go back to radio. All right, there's that. Then two, they knew I knew too much of their industry. They knew that I'm sitting there on the Billboard chart with an independent team who were all former major record label executives. See, that's where the secret is. I have that. And that's how I got on Billboard. All of my team are former major record label executives. Major. And mega number one hits, all right, under their belts. All right. And they're not the only team, but there's only a few of them that have had success against the major record labels. All right. So that's where the secret is, right there. And here I was, in with the major, and they're giving me these excuses. And it's like I told the person when I said, no, actually, I don't want a pub deal. No. Why would you sit here and talk to me as if I just moved to town last week with a dog named Fargo, all right, like I don't know anything? That's what you would say to some other young punk who just moved to town who might actually have some good, decent songs they've written on, and or they're getting in the rooms with hit songwriters. No. I'm sitting on your Billboard chart. Your Billboard chart. That's how it all works. And for those of you out there, I've probably said this, and it's all in this book. This is the #1 bestseller right here. The Royal Flush of Country Music. All right, this is it. It's not very long at all. It's not a long read. It's not even a lot of heavy reading. This is all the secrets of country music, first off. But, ladies and gentlemen, first time I've probably said it on video. For one song, one, for one song as an independent artist to get on Billboard Top 30, it will cost your daughter, your son, your friend, whoever it is, if you're an artist, songwriter yourself, it'll cost you an easy $1.8 million to get in the top 30 on a minimum. For one song, $1.8 million. That does not guarantee any return on investment, because that would be an investment. If you went out to somebody and you got $1.8 million and you went to top 30, that would be considered an investment. There's no ROI on that. None. So you're not guaranteed that. You're also not going to get a major record label to come after you, because if they won't come after someone like me who have had the producers, the hit producers, I have all the same musicians on my record. I have written with every single hit songwriter, not every single hit songwriter, but I've written with a lot of major hit songwriters, all right, in my catalog. Major Hall of Fame songwriters, all right. If they don't want me, they damn sure don't want you, all right. Because, again, they want people they can control, that don't know much about their system, don't know anything, but also you're willing to do a lot of other things. There's so much quote-unquote talent in Nashville. Why? All right? And everybody today thinks they're a songwriter. So what's happening is a lot of these songwriters and people now in Nashville, on any given night, you can go to what they call a songwriter round. When I lived in Nashville, songwriter rounds were maybe 1 or 2 a night, but a lot more on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. Now, every single night in Nashville, you can see at least 5 or 6 rounds a night of songwriters. So what they're doing is basically muddying the water up, as would be a country term for it. There's too many. There's too much. And every single songwriter gets on stage and they'll go, this is one of my new singles. So they take the term of the actual industry and they tell the people in the audience, here's my new single. Every freaking artist, every single song, here's one of my singles, here's one of my new singles. And it sounds like hot garbage. I mean, it is hot garbage. It's terrible. These songwriters today, they don't write for the heart. They're writing because they want name, face, popularity, notoriety. They're attention whores, self-absorbed. They don't write to the heart anymore. They're not writing to you, the consumer, anymore. So that's why you, the consumer, has all the power in the world. But a guy like me who's been on Billboard, who knows how the intricate system works, and here a lot of you are, again, supporting, because it's great. It's not great because it's great. It's great because they told you it's great. It's great because it's supposed to be great. But it's going through an incompetent system. Because if it were about talent, check this. David Lee Murphy, Clint Black. How come they weren't George Strait? How come they didn't have the George Strait name? Clint Black and David Lee Murphy are 2 great examples. They wrote one of them wrote all their songs. All right, all of them. How come? So when you do go back to the major record labels, the 360 deal, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where everything, this is where, if you're truly listening, especially artists, songwriters, the difference, this is where it meets the road right here. If it were about talent, if it were about the money in a good way, then why wouldn't they want the artists who can write their own music, even if they're just co-writing? Why would there be more artists who co-write more than there are artists? 99%, again, of artists don't write a single bit of their music. So if it were about talent and about the music, and if it were about the music touching your soul for the right reasons, and if it were about you supporting the artist for the correct reasons, because the artist is a true artist, and the artist lives their songs, breathes their songs, loves their songs mean something. It's not just a song to be popular, not just a song to be a party, not just a song to get out in a big bus and look all glamour. If it were truly about being an artist again, and about country music to what it came from, why wouldn't they have first the artists who can deliver their music like Hank Williams, personality, artistry, and songwriting? Because again, a songwriter and artist like me, where they make all their money are royalties, songwriting, merchandise, which comes from touring. So why wouldn't they want the artists who can write, and then they would do what? They would be getting a percentage of that artist's royalties because of the songwriter. So they make the artist shares. They already make 85% of the artist. That's the 360 deal. So 85% of what the artist is pulling out there, the labels are pulling that 85% back. All right. So why wouldn't they want that extra slice of the pie because they don't need it. They have a dirty system that they've established. They know they have every single one of you consumers hooked. And they know you won't question it. They know you won't do anything about it. Because they know that most of you will look at people like me, artists like me who have been there, got the 2 Billboard hits, 2 out of George Strait had, what was it? We had 60 number ones. I can't remember how many top 10s he had alone, top 5s he had alone. So, they know that you'll say, oh, you've only had 2 little hits. And then they also know the average fan out there go, oh, look at this guy. He just wasn't good enough and blah, 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 blah. Ignorance. Ignorance. And the wheels on the bus go round and round. But every single one of you could control it. Every single one of you. But my advice to the young artists and songwriters out there, not that you care, maybe you don't care. I obviously don't have as many viewers. That's the other thing I'm disappointed in is the followers I have. They want my intelligence because of military and laws and orders. Oh boy, but my viewership is not even a fourth of what it normally is because I'm talking about country music. And I'm disappointed in you out there. Very disappointed in you. All right, so for all of you that are here, you are true followers. You're true followers. All right, because you're here, you're engaging. And there's some of you maybe working and couldn't. That's fine. Maybe you'll hear it later. But once again, when I'm normally live, I normally have 3 or 4 times this amount listening and watching. So it tells me where a lot of you are in your life out there. All right. And I'm personally getting tired and exhausted. And I'm built for this. I'm built for missions. I'm built for this. I am built for it. But I'm getting tired and exhausted of people who don't want to put in the work, don't want to put in the initiative, don't want to listen until things get real bad. When things hit the fan. So you're showing you're not really a patriot. You're showing you're not really committed. You're showing you're just hanging on because you're just, oh, well, I'm waiting for someone up here to say something, then it'll validate him even more. And I've already been validated 1,000,000 times to Pluto and back. All right. And if you don't believe in space or Pluto or whatever your farthest distance is, I've already been validated to it and back. And this is a passion of mine as well. I was a Billboard hit artist and songwriter before all of this. Before it. All right, so I'm passionate about it too. And also I have family members who were involved in it for years. All right, and it's also trying to fight for the tradition of that, of what already has gone to hell in a handbasket quick. And you should want to feel that way too because, again, I see all the comments out there. I've seen a lot of comments on my pages when I've posted things about, country music. Your comments are mainstream. You wouldn't have to make those comments if you would listen and take power as a consumer and go, I have that power. Oh, this is how the internet works. Don't like or love something, don't share it. That's how the algorithms work. You should want to share people like me. You should want to look up all the Billboard artists. All right. Currently, right now, there's a Billboard chart somewhere with 60 slots on it. You only know the top 20. Go find all the names on there you've never heard of. Like, love, and share everything by that person. Not just me. I'm not on it anymore and don't care to be because I'm not going to waste some investor's money on doing that. Or someone who is willing to believe in me. I'm not going to do that. That's how honest I am. I'm not going to go lie to an investor and say, hey, if you give me $2 million, we can hit top 30 on Billboard. It won't bring a return on investment back to them. So why would I lie to them? That's what you, the consumer, needs back in your life in every aspect. You need honesty, transparency, and you need someone who knows and been there, done that. It's the same thing that President Trump is doing to the swamp. Same thing he's doing. He is derooting, he's uprooting and derooting, and they're exposing all of the incompetence, all of the fraud, all of the corruption by these incompetent people for years in the government side. And I'm sitting here telling you the equivalent to it in the music industry, and there's a fourth of people listening who normally listen to my quote-unquote podcast. All right, I'm not a podcaster, first off. I'm a guy on a mission. All right, God put me on a mission. God put me here. All right, and I'm just passionate about everything that I love and what I'm doing. But I'm the very sole person that every single young artist, songwriter should listen to. You don't need a major record label. You don't need a major publishing deal. You don't need any of that for us to flip country music back around. You need to know how it works. You need to know the secrets. And you still are a consumer. Even if you're an artist and songwriter, you're still a consumer. Stop covering the hit songs. You're doing exactly what the labels want you to do. You need to focus your time. If you're truly a songwriter, you need to focus your time on trying to find a craft that fits you, that is passionate. Write about something you know about first. Try to do something that you know about first. All right? Then branch out. If you're just an artist, you need to be meeting the songwriters. You don't need to be trying to cover songs. You need to be meeting the songwriters. You need to be meeting the best songwriters you can meet, possibly. All right? That's how you take over this trash system that they've put on everybody. You people out there complaining about Beyonce, all you're doing is adding one to negativity, negative energy, and then also you're contributing to the publicity of it. No matter what side you stand on, if you're commenting on a post, all you're doing is wasting your time, wasting your energy, and feeding to it, which is exactly what they want you to do. That. Take control of your energy. Take control of your power and listen to people like me. It's not going to help me. I'm not going to ever be on Billboard anymore. Ever. Unless God just, boom, changes the system and wipes out all the incompetence there and gets the people in there, people that I know that should be there in those positions. Unless that happens, I'm not going to be on. But this can help other artists and songs. Wasting your time. It's going to cost, on average, to get a great album about $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 for every album. All right, quality music. That's what it's going to cost. All right, so you're already going debt straight out the gate. Music is not about making money right out the gate. The only way these artists are making money are major record labels. That's it. Songwriters and artists like me are not making that kind of money whatsoever. So when you see an artist out there that you've never heard of, but you see them in a video getting off a tour bus, you go, oh, that dude's got it all backwards. He got the cart before the horse. Because ain't nobody out there that you've never heard of that's on a tour bus making money. I can assure you that right now. So some of these artists out there have everything. They got the cart before the horse. They got everything backwards. If every single songwriter and artist would listen to how it works. I just told how country music works in less than 5 minutes with the actual portion of it. Not this whole video, but it's a pay-for-play system. Real simple. All right. Now this right here goes into the intricacies of etiquette, protocol, standards, of what not to say to record label people, the good ones. There's a few, little tiny few left, but they're mostly all gone. But if there ever is a good label that pops up again, this teaches you etiquette, standard, and protocol of how to talk to people, how to learn the language, and how to talk to people, and also songwriters, how to approach hit songwriters. You don't act like that you're a hit songwriter either. There's a lot of these young writers that act like that they'll talk to a hit songwriter just like, oh, hey, bud, how you been? You better start appreciating people and respecting people. All right. So this teaches that. It shows all of the intricacies that I didn't talk about. I can't even. I'm just going to flip through the hypocrisy by publishers, what they say and what to listen for. When you start hearing excuses, etc. The major label hypocrisy, country music radio. I mean, it just breaks down all that. And I would highly recommend it. Once again, I'm the only artist in country music history that's exposed the whole thing. But they knew the average fan, they knew the average consumer wouldn't listen to people like me. It's the same thing with anything else. People don't want to listen. People don't care. All you care about is getting in your vehicle and turning on the radio, and the wheels on the bus go round and round, or your playlist, and then the artist ends up either saying the N-word and getting in trouble and all this other stuff and publicity and all, and everybody rushes to the comment box and makes them more famous until they do something really bad, and then you're like, oh, I'm not playing their music anymore. But you already made them rich. You made them rich. You made them rich. So if you're tired of that, you have control of that. You're the consumer. But other than that, you know, that's it. And I do have my own record label. So, you know, there's that. I have my own setup. That's why this whole video is existing right now. I have my own teams. I have all this. All right. You're the consumer, though. You still, when I put a single out, I saw a comment in the comments. When I put a single up and I said, hey, pre-save this, I mean, right now, most of my videos get 200 or 300 shares. Straight out. I got 48 shares. All right. And then I've got 200 viewers. Normally, it's triple, quadruple, whatever that. Over here on Instagram, 31 viewers. It's normally right at 100. All right. And then I'll have X amount of views later. So it tells you, again, the average viewer don't want to hear about country music. And see, that's the problem we got. Most of them are what? Music fans. So why don't people want to hear about it? Why don't you want to hear? Why don't you want to take power? Why don't you want to take control? My very message, if you'll send it to every artist and songwriter out there that you know, or tag them. If you'll tag them on this video on Facebook, because it won't go away. On Instagram, when I post the video, when the live video goes off, all the comments goes away. When I post it, repost it, or share it on my page, if you'll tag at every songwriter and artist that you know on there, if they hear this, I'm the very person who can help them. And not going to railroad them and get them in trouble like they do in Nashville, get them in debt and all these other things. All right, I'm the very person. There are what they call bottom feeders all over Nashville. And they'll fill them so full of manure right through here. And it'll make, and it sounds perfect. It looks perfect. There's people with contracts that look legit. All right. And they sign their life away and it ain't nothing. All right. The whole secret to country music, again, is the Billboard chart. There's two ways to get on it. Major record labels and independent teams that know how to get on the Billboard without the major record label. Now, straight out the gate, it's pointless to go straight to Billboard. The first thing artists need to do is build a repertoire. Great songs, quality songs. It starts with people like me who can get the same formula that every top 25 artist has. I have the same thing. So it's up to you, the consumer. That's where you, the consumer, comes in. You, the consumer, has to help that artist. You have to go, man, this is quality music. It's the same style. It's the same musicians. It's the same writers. It's the same everything but the name. That's where you, the consumer, does come in handy. That's where you have to use your power. Empower yourself. That's the whole point of my passion here. That's where you, the consumer, comes in. You, the artist, or you, the songwriter out there, but especially if you're a singer, you need hit songwriters. You need quality music. You don't want to just go get in any studio. That's the problem with most artists and songs. They're going to get the cart before the horse. They're going starting pages and starting all that. Don't. You don't need to do that. Because once you're out there, if you never blow up big, then once you're out, and the saying is. And if you put crappy music out straight out the gate, and then you go go get with someone like me, and you get quality music, those people ain't going to listen. They're not going to listen to you because you've already put trash out. All right, so what you want to do is build your repertoire. It's real simple. It's not difficult. And that's why my Instagram is full on my timeline of nothing but trash and hot garbage. And they may look good. They may sound good, but their music is trash. And the only way that you can flip this is you, the consumer, understand how Billboard country music works. And why you think you love what you love. Because you don't love it because you love it. You love it because you were told to love it. You, the artist, you, the songwriter out there, especially if you've never had a record deal, or you've never had a Billboard hit or a hit period in like Texas country or anything, you need to listen to someone like me, because I can tell you right now, if I don't have a record deal, with the teams I have, with the hit producers I've had, with the hit songwriters I've written with the musicians I have on my records, if you see what I go through with the average consumer, then you definitely ain't going nowhere. See? So there's your conundrum. You, the consumer, have a part, and you, the artist-songwriter, you want to stand apart? Well, you need to still do everything the right way first and the quality way, and then hope the consumers will get involved and empower themselves. And hey, so what, you never heard of someone? You don't know how the system works. If it's all about music being great, then you should add the song because the song touches you, inspires you, or whatever it is, whatever the emotional attachment is to the music, you should want that on your playlist because now we're in streaming. Speaking of streaming, let me go ahead and break that really fast and then I'll draw back. Streaming. All right. Streaming platforms. The payout for a songwriter. So Morgan Wallen and all these dudes, if they didn't write the song, let's use someone that don't write. Absolutely. George Strait don't write. He started writing a few in his latest. Of course, he hadn't had a single recently. But, you know, let's just say, though, George Strait in his prime in the 90s. He didn't write any of his songs in the 90s. All right, let's say streaming would have been in the 90s. It wasn't, but let's just say it was there for the sake of. All of George Strait's hits in the 90s, he didn't make any money off of that except for touring and merchandise. The royalties went to all the songwriters. All right. Well, the hit songwriters today, they're the ones who have the more power. They that have the most leverage. That's what I talked about in this book. All the hit songwriters, you're the ones who should be saying everything. You're the ones who should be in an uproar because if you're not a major signed songwriter anymore, but you're a former hit songwriter, your royalties are trash. You're scraping pennies right now. Especially a lot of you hit songwriters who spend all your money. You spent all your hit song money on stuff that didn't matter back in the day, and you thought it would always be there. Them big royalty checks ain't there no more. You're getting like $25 checks when it used to be $50,000. Now you get. I know them. I know these hit songwriters who are getting $25 for a royalty check every quarter. That used to be $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 every quarter. All right, that's going away. Streaming, every stream. One play. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what a stream is, that means one play. Every time someone plays one of my songs one time, if I wrote it, this is my payout. If I solo wrote it, one stream, one play equals decimal point, 0.0033 cents per stream. President Trump just said he's getting rid, they're going to not produce the penny anymore. A penny. That's like taking a penny and slicing it about 8 different ways and then taking the tiniest little slice, one of those slices. That's what that is. So all of the emotions, divorce maybe, heartbreak, breakup, whatever it may be, someone passing away, the emotion you put into a song, here's a penny. Here's a slice. That's what every single songwriter is getting. If it's got 2 songwriters on it, divide 0.0033 by 2. Then dice it up again. Dice that little penny up. That right there is why it matters. All right. So Garth Brooks, I grew up listening to him. Garth Brooks he boycotted Apple and iTunes when they first started. He boycotted them. He said, look, an artist is where an artist is. When an artist puts an album out, Garth Brooks, I don't care what people say about him. There's one thing Garth Brooks has done his whole career. He may end up being a turd and a half, but there's one thing he did do that he needs attributed for. He used to highlight the songwriters. He's written a lot of his stuff too. But when he didn't write a great song and he recorded a great song by another songwriter, he gave tribute to those songwriters. He's the one who highlighted and talked about on his radio shows and his podcast. He talked about these songwriters and how great they are and all these other things and how they wrote the song. He got into the emotion of the song because he wanted that song to do the same to you. That's why he said he was boycotting Apple when he did do what he did. And he went and made his own box set, and he sold his own box set at Walmart at the time when Walmart was real popular with a CD section. He had his own box set. He boycotted. And I know y'all don't want to talk about it, but guess who else did the same thing? Taylor Swift did the same thing as well. All right, because she was an artist, but she wrote all of her music. So see, a lot of you hate on stuff that you don't really know the intricate details and the backdrop to. You just get into all the drama and all the other stuff, right? But there's some good things out there with certain people that stood up, but then it snowballed effect, because guess what happened? That was 2 artists out of all of the other artists. There weren't that many artist-songwriters in country music. There were artists, but there weren't artist-songwriters. So what happened? It snowballed. It caved in. So now the true artistry is gone. It's not about artistry anymore. It's not about the song and how it inspires you and any of that. The music today, country music, there shouldn't be any inspirational song out there. There's not. That stuff that they're playing now, this all these loop songs, and it's this, oh, girl, get you on the back row, girl, yeah, girl, oh, girl, yeah, girl, drop that tailgate, girl, drop that booty, girl, oh, yeah, girl, all that bull crap, and it's the same song, same loop. They just take it, put it in the blender, same chords, put it in the blender, pull it out. They know they have you, the consumer, and the consumer don't care. Because you didn't know the system. You didn't know there was a dirty system. You didn't know there was even a system. You didn't know that there was publishers and songwriters, and the labels go to them, and they pitch the songs, and then the labels and radio. All the people, oh, I don't listen to radio. Doesn't matter. Go to the discographies again. Look at all the number 1 hits by Morgan Wallen, Hardy, Luke Combs, Luke Bryan. Where all the number 1s are? Country airplay, Billboard country radio. Then look at the Hot 100s. They don't have nearly the number 1 hits, number 2s, top 5s as they do on country radio. They don't need your downloads from that angle. They don't need you, the consumer, to show them, because they already have you hooked. See, that's where the secret is. If you'll truly listen, they don't need to know what you're supporting by downloads and streams. They already have you hooked. They can go get any singer they want and put hit songs on them, run it through the same system, and when it hits top 20, they got you no matter what, because you don't question the rest of it. You don't question. You don't think about all of us like me who's been in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. You don't see that because you don't want to see it. You don't care to see it. You don't give a shit about me. That's what it boils down to. You don't give a dang about me. You don't care about my buddies that's been there. You don't care. All you care about is the top 20 because they tell you and they told you. And you didn't know to question it because you didn't even know there was a system there. So you didn't know to question it. And now you don't want to listen because it's music. But it's music and it's my escape. And it's what I escape all this negativity in the world. And health and music. 2 things that are really good when it's good, but it's bad when it's bad. And it's the very thing that requires the most trust. And they got every single one of you, hook, line, and sinker. And they got you to where you don't want to question. You don't want to do anything of that nature because they got you hooked. They got you where they want you. And you're not going to get out of it until you listen to someone like me. I'm the very artist who has all the secrets. The songwriter who has all the secrets. That's what makes me... Of all the thousands and thousands and thousands who've been to Nashville every single year, thousands, I'm the one person the major record label should have never let walk out of Nashville knowing what I know, having what I have. And if you, the consumer, but especially you, the artist and songwriter out there, if you will listen to me, there's no gimmick here. This ain't no bull crap. Oh, sign up here and do this, that, and this, that. Nope. There's a way to take over country music. There's a way to replace all those incompetent people. There's a way to do it. Oh, there's a way. It's a man-made system. You got to know the system. You got to know how to flip the system. It's a man-made system. The same way they made it, we can fix it, flip it, and get it back on track. Same thing with radio. All you country radio guys out there and gals, all you air personalities, y'all don't like to call yourself DJs anymore, disc jockeys, go, oh, that's old school. all you air personalities and all you program directors out there, if you will get your heads out of your rear end as well and quit making it all about all the artists, coming there and kissing your rear end, if you will take power as well to know that all you do is listen to a few major record labels and you don't listen to quality music, when you have someone call you from a major record label or former major record label, independent label guys, and they say, hey, I got an artist and da-da-da-da-da. If you program directors will start playing quality music that people love, that talks to their life again, you can help flip it too. All right, and when you program directors with radio, Billboard radio, when y'all flip that, all of the incompetence will be exposed out of the major record labels because there's not that many of them. So all the incompetent ones that have all of you controlled at radio, it'll expose them too. All we got to do is flip that right there. And until we get them out of the way, it's just going to be the same old crap, same old crap. But you, the consumer, have the most power. You, the consumer, if you'll listen again. But you need that barrier. The barrier is that you wouldn't been able to take some artist, songwriter that's never had a hit, period. All right? You needed someone like me who's been on the Billboard, but I haven't been in the top 20. You needed someone like me to take one for the team. Because I would never get a record deal after this. After this book and after the exposure, I would never get a record deal because I'll be blackballed. All right? Fine. Perfect. All right? But, again, you needed someone like me who's been on the Billboard chart, knows every intricate little detail and how it works, to take one for the team for every single other Billboard artist that spent that kind of money and didn't go anywhere. I have friends whose investors pulled out at like $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. They didn't even get on the chart. All right, spent that kind of money and didn't even chart. All right, so that shows how great my team is to get me in the 40s, but we didn't spend that kind of money. All right, we set a Billboard record. We didn't spend that kind of money. We didn't spend remotely close to that kind of money. All right, so what we did, we stuck one up the rear end of country music, Billboard, radio, and also the major record labels. We didn't spend hardly any of that. Now, that's what this unveils, how much we spent, but we didn't spend hardly anything. So we set a record never been done before, but it's an industry record. Fans wouldn't get it. Consumers, fans wouldn't get it, don't care, because you didn't even know there was a system there. All right, so what we did in country music, I'm the sole person the label should have never let me go. And it don't matter. I don't care if it is just 20 people watching, 30 people watching, 40 people, whoever it is. Every time I talk about it, I'm going to talk about it to the day I take my last breath because I'm the very one who can flip it around. I have the records. I can prove it. I now have #1 best-selling books because of that. All right, now, it ain't because of this buckle, but again, this is the easiest thing to hold up. All right, I have #1 best-selling books for a reason. All right, consumers, you have to get involved. You have to take control. You have to use your power. Empower yourself. Take the authority. You have that power. So you need to do that. So all you artists out there, you young artists that are in my timeline, and all you young artists and songwriters out there, you're writing songs. You just, oh, my new single, and you just want a name, you want a face, you want people to see you, whatever it is. You don't write with heart. Some of you are barely wet behind the ears, 18, 19 years old. You try to sing a song about a life you ain't ever lived before. If you want consumers to remotely get close to your music, all right, if they won't support me, they ain't going to support you, all right, because you don't have heart. My songs are all written with hit songwriters, again, and the ones I've solo written are just as quality with the same musicians on it. If the consumers won't back me, they definitely ain't going to back you with some song that has no heart. So if you want to change country music, you got to do it one step at a time. Every single artist, songwriter, you need to get with someone like me, Because there ain't many like me. I can name a few. Dallas, let's see, Dallas Robertson. Let's see. Let me think. I'm trying to think of all the names. I done forgot a lot of the names that were on Billboard with me when we were on that no one's ever heard of. But there's a few out there. I can't think of the one guy's name. There were only a few. There were about 5 of us. All right. But again, it's not that many. So when you think about that, if every single one of them would have had the team I had, because they didn't, and they spent a ton of money to get to the slots that they got to, but even they were on the Billboard, but they didn't have everything that I had. If I'd have had $1.8 million, though, this would be a whole different ballgame because I had the team that could have got me to top 30. I had all that. Didn't have $2 million laying around to do it. All right. So there's no one who will ever be able to compete with the major record labels. Ever. Unless they have that kind of cash along with the team, the quality of the team, and also quality of music, and also the quality of songs. There's a formula you got to have. All right. And you don't just stumble on that. It takes years of relationships with the musicians. It takes a lot of different things. So if you're an artist and a songwriter, all right, you're going to be tagged on here. All right, you need to get with someone like me who has the complete team, the complete package, the complete secrets, all right, and you got to buy into that, all right, not buy literally, but I mean, you got to buy into it, meaning that you got to believe this is how country music works, all right, it works this way. Discography, go over again and look at the discography, and then the way I proved mine, Sammy Kershaw. She's the queen of my double wide trailer with the polyester. Sammy Kershaw posted the Billboard chart way back in 2020. All right. Billboard is also not published for everybody. Now you have to have an actual subscription to see the Billboard chart via Billboard.com. So used to you could pull up and you'd see the top 25. Years ago you could see all of it. But now they dwindled it, right? As the industry became more and more exposed, as the saying was, and they didn't want to lose their secrets, the more and more they cut down. All right, so when you people say, well, I've Googled you and I can't find the Billboard chart. No crap, Sherlock. They do that on purpose again. And if you're saying that this late in the video, I don't see any comments, but if you're saying that and you're thinking that, as I have had that before by all the haters out there, which they don't mean anything anyway because they already are incompetent themselves, but I've seen that from people, and there may be some good people out there that also say, well, I Googled you and I couldn't find the Billboard. No crap, Sherlock. It's a secret society for a reason. Again. All right. There's a reason they don't show you all the Billboard chart. Because, again, if you did start getting curious and you did start Googling, if you'd have known about country music, if you'd have known about the full Billboard chart, and you did get curious, you the consumer, and you went, who's Derek Jonhson? Who's Dallas Robertson? Who is this? And who is that? And who is this? And you went and Googled us, and then or YouTube this, and you're like, dang, this is great music. And then you went and told your friends or sat at a pool party or a tiki bar or whatever, and you're like, hey, you got to listen to these people. I went and looked these up. And that spread like wildfire, then guess what would have happened? If people would have used their brain and their power and authority as a consumer to go, dang, this is quality music. Why aren't they this, that, and that? That's why they squeltered that. That's why you can't find that. And you didn't know to look that up because now they don't make Billboard popular. They make what? The award shows, and they make all these other things the precedent. They took away the Billboard as far as like, the popularity of it. That was the most popular thing in Country Weekly and also Country Music Magazine. That was the very thing you went to look for is where people were on the Billboard chart. They don't do that anymore. You don't have those anymore. You have nothing but platforms now. I won't name some of them to give them publicity, but you have some big platforms. They don't talk about Billboard. They don't talk about the industry. They only pump the party scene. They only pump the artists that you think are good because that's all you know. You only know what you know, and that's where you're innocent. But once you know, and once you've heard me one time, it's like the Bible says, once a person's heard one time, you've heard it.
And if you don't take authority, then you're doing what? You're acknowledging it. And you're okay with that. All right? And it's bullcrap. Ricky Van Shelton, David Lee Murphy, Ricky Lynn Gregg. I mean, we could sit here and name names for years that should have and could have exposed the industry. But they're not popular anymore, and it was a different era. All right? So a little bit how country music radio works really fast, and then I'll close. But like Billboard, when it changed in 1990, it became about your ads and getting on stations and things like that. In 2012, now it's how many stations you can get on the number and how many spins you get per week. That's the formula they use. That's where the monetary thing comes in for the independent portion. If you're a major record label, you're automatically getting those slots. It's just a matter of how much your label pushes you behind their, what? Their prize pony. So if you're Jason Aldean, he's the prize pony of Broken Bow. Then you have your other artists. Then whoever the prize ponies are, meaning the top artists, quote unquote, that consumers think are the top, but the labels know by their who they've been pushing, all right? Then all these other artists fall into that category. Independent artists like myself, that's where the monetary value comes in, the 1.8 million to get in the top 30. That's where that comes in. All right. So there's major labels in Billboard. That's the only way you're going to have a hit in country music is either a major record label or you got to have a massive formula put together, and then also you got to have mega capital for one song to break through that, and then hope the consumer somehow will go, oh, but it ain't going to work like that. That's why the labels know. So that top 30, when you're in top 60, all right, and you're working your way, number 30 is where you want to be because there's a top 30 countdown. When you get into the top 30, then you get on bigger billboards. So like Mobile, Alabama, Dallas, Texas, Miami, Florida, Orlando, Florida, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia. So you get into the big market radio where they got 3 and 4 million listeners. All right. So when you get in the top 30, then more consumers hear you. But when you're number 31 to number 60, like us, thank God. This is how great my team is. My team got us to number about 49 one week. We stayed at number 49 for 3 weeks. 3 weeks we stayed at number 49. But Eric Church and his label dropped a single. Eric Church entered the chart at number 29. When he entered the chart and debuted at number 29, every artist that I knew that was independent, CJ Solar, there's one great name to look up. He's more rock-based, but I've actually written with him. He wrote a big number 1 hit for Morgan Wallen, and he's had a bunch of other number 1 hits you've heard. But CJ Solar, he and I were supposed to do a big concert together in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and then COVID and all that bullcrap canceled everything. But, I mean, COVID hurt a lot of us, first off, and that whole charade, which was all fake anyways, but still. So, CJ, great example. He was like rocking on in the 30s, all right? So when Eric Church come in at number 29, it pushed every independent artist back. How and why would it do that? Right? Because that's their corrupt, dirty system. But we stayed at number 4. We didn't drop and we didn't lose a bullet. A bullet is another good thing to Google about. But I'm not going to explain all that. But we didn't lose a bullet and we stayed at number 49. But everybody I know, they dropped 10, 15, 20, 30 slots. Why does that matter? Because all the money they spent to get where they got, when they drop back, they got to spend that same amount of money to hopefully try to get back up in the same position. That's where the independent portion comes in. That's where, again, you, the consumer, should care about this. Because, again, all you're doing is supporting dirty, corrupt, incompetent, stupid, ignorant label people who don't care about talent. It ain't about talent. It's not about the song anymore. It's not about the artist anymore. It's all because you're hooked, and they know they got you hooked. And they also know that most of you just don't give a dang. They just know you're lazy and you don't care. All right? So, I'm straightforward, direct, and I'm just going to say it the way it is. You're lazy. You don't care. You don't give a dang until you're supposed to give a dang. Or all of a sudden this artist does something that you don't like, and I'm sitting here saying, well, if you'd have listened in the first place, and every one of you would have collectively gotten together the same way that everybody rallied behind President Trump. He had a message. He said things that needed to be said about corrupt, incompetent people. What's the same thing? But a lot of you get a hall pass because some of you didn't know that this was a system back here and how the system worked. But you, the artists and songwriters, are ones that really could affect this if you would stop doing certain things and start doing what you're supposed to be doing and listening to people like me who's been there, done that. All right? Because if they don't want me, they dang sure don't want you, because you don't have anything that they would want. And all you're doing is wasting your time, your energy, and your money, especially if you move to Nashville. I didn't even live in Nashville when I had my Billboard hits. Didn't live there. I'd already moved from there. All right, you don't need to live in Nashville. You ain't got to live in Nashville. You don't have to have a pub deal. You don't have to have any kind of deal. You either are controllable and or know someone that's a record label person and they know you're controllable and they know that you're also incompetent and or just average, run of the mill, brain wise, and they can still control you, or you're independent like me with a team that knows how to go to Billboard. That's the only way you're going to have a hit song in country music. Only way. All the other charts don't matter. That Music Row chart, it don't matter. If you are an artist and songwriter and you're wasting your time on the Music Row chart, you are wasting your money big time. That chart don't mean do to the major record labels. They don't care about that because they don't have to. Again, major labels do not have to care about anything because they already control the whole thing. They control the narrative. So, again, there's a system to country music. There's only two ways to have a hit song in mainstream country music. You either have a major record deal or you have a team like mine that knows how to get around the system and do it lawfully, do it morally, ethically, but professionally. There's a system to it. An independent team still has to be a Billboard affiliate. All right. So my songs are in the Billboard database. They're there. They have to go through that system. All right. There is a system in that. Another whole portion. All right. The labels and the radio changed in 90, and then they changed in 2012. When it changed in 2012, it really went downhill from there. And it got even more of a cutthroat, backstabbing, dirty, knock you down, kick you while you're down, incompetent people running the system and people trying to get up the ladder, as the saying is. So I'm glad I don't live in Nashville. I'm glad I'm not in that bull crap. And I'll go to Nashville occasionally at a songwriter round with hit songwriters that I know personally that invited me to be on a good round. I do love doing those because it's more of an intimate audience, and the audience there knows that, hey, these are the songwriters. These are the ones that wrote the hit songs. So those are more, it's not big audience, but those are the ones that I love more, and I just don't care anymore. There was a time in my life where I cared about, what certain people were going to think, maybe family or hometown and things like that. I don't care anymore. Because once you know, you can't unknow. Once you see, you can't unsee. And once it's there, it's just there. All right. And so I know all the secrets, all the intricacies, and it's really not that complicated. It is in one manner, but it's not in another. So if you're a songwriter, artist, and or both, you've got to take control of what you control. You control your destiny. All right, there's that. But there's only two ways to have a hit song in mainstream country music. Again, major record label or an independent team. You're not going to get a major record deal doing what you're doing. I can go ahead and tell you right now. Because again, if I'm doing what I've done, and they ain't get a record deal, it ain't going to happen for you. All right, I have every name, every team, everything. And, you know, major record labels don't need your money, so you can't go in there and bribe them. So there's that either. So it's not like you could go in there and say, hey, I'll pay and you just promote it. It don't work like that. So, you know, you used to could go in there and say, hey, look, I'll get us back to I'll get us right around number 35 and then you pay for the rest. Don't work like that. They could care less because they know they have fans controlled. They have 99% of country music fans controlled, just like that. They have their publishers. They have hit songwriters within their own labels. Some of the labels have their own in-house publishing. They don't need you, all right? And when you see people on stuff like The Voice, American Idol, that bull crap, it's a syndicated audience. It's a closed caption, meaning it's syndicated. They already know their viewership. So all of you participating with that, you're wasting your time. Major record labels don't give a dang about that. Again, there's been a couple, yes, like Carrie Underwood, who was just a jewel of a jewel, who went on there and blew their socks off. But she, again, is like the mega Powerball lottery winner. Quit looking at the lottery winner and look at all the ones who try to play the lottery. That's what you, the artist-songwriter, needs to look at. All right? Because at the end of the day, again, the whole industry revolves around a what? A song. All right? If it were about talent, the labels would go after artists and songwriters first because they would have a true 360 deal. They would have royalties and the shows and the merchandise. When they have 99% of artists who don't write their own music, it is not about talent anymore. They know they have a syndicated, controlled, mainstream audience who no matter what they put out there, those people are going to take it hook, line, and sinker. And until the country music fan actually gives a dang again and realizes that, yes, there are incompetent in the music industry, again, politics, and until you realize that, why it matters is because when it's your daughter, when it's your son, when it's your granddaughter, when it's your grandson, when it's your cousin, when it's someone you know, and it hits home, you're going to think about what I've been saying. So when it happens to someone, they went to a record label meeting, they were told their music is trash and this, that, and the other, that labels will tell you if you suck or not. They'll tell you straight up, this is the hot garbage, etc., especially if you really stink. All right? When it's your son, daughter, granddaughter, grandson, cousin, family member, friend of a friend, or one of their kids or grandkid, when it happens, again, if every fan collectively will listen to the people who've been there, done that, but especially the one person who has all the secrets and the labels let me slip out. So I close with this. The last label meeting I ever had was October, let's see, I guess that was 2020, somewhere in there, maybe 2019. I guess it was October 2019. It may have been 2020. I have to go back and look. It's been so long. But it was Riser House. All right. I'll go ahead and tell you who it was. Riser House. I'm sitting there looking at the executive. She's the one that said, have you considered a pub deal publishing? So I'm sitting here on your Billboard chart currently with a hit song as an independent artist. I'm sitting there. I co-write all mine with hit songwriters. This person now, executive, she said, you get more hit songwrites than our hit songwriters do. So you want me to walk out of your office when I have the perfect resume, I'm almost 6'5". I look, I'm not the best looking guy in the world, but I'm not ugly, I don't think. Maybe I am. I don't care. But there's a lot of ugly singers out there. I mean, Luke Combs looks like a frat boy who couldn't even get a girl to go to, you know what frat boys do, right? I mean, his wife, he's got a heart. Once you get to know him, I'm sure she said that before. I'm like, I guess he does. That black credit card he's got. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you probably listened a lot more when he flopped that thing out on the table. All right, so it wasn't because of something else he flopped out, but anyway, Lord forgive me. I know, be with me and all the people around the world, but again, this woman had the audacity. I'm sitting there, I'm on your Billboard chart. As an independent artist, I'm on your chart. This ain't my chart. If the Billboard chart was my chart, I would have every country music fan out there in shape. It would be like Marine Corps boot camp. It wouldn't be Army, and I love my Army, but it would be straight up. Yeah, it'd be Marine Corps all day long. I'd have every country music fan in step. They know how it works, and they would actually appreciate and care how it works. I'm on your Billboard chart, ma'am. Yours. She told me, personally, she said, how are your social media numbers? And I'm like, well, they suck, obviously, because country music fans don't know how country music works. So my numbers ain't nowhere near what your artists are going to be, because country music fans don't know how it works. Don't care how it works. They don't care about the Billboard anymore. So the only leverage I have is that I'm on the Billboard chart. My numbers aren't good because fans don't care. She had the audacity now to tell me that one of her artists, all right, and I'm trying to think of his name. Everybody knows him. He's an artist out there. But she told me that she cannot get him and their team to get him to open his phone one time a week to make a post or make a comment on Instagram. One time. Can't get this guy to just pick his phone up and comment to you, the consumer. You, the fan. And here I am, don't have the numbers that he has, but they can't get him to open. And here I am, I sit on my phone all day long and give people all free information, unless you're buying my book. But other than that, mine's free. Free information, my intellectual property, my thoughts, my time, my everything, which is what my mission is. That's what I've been called to do. That's what I've been tasked to do. But again, apply the principle here. And she can't get her artist to pick up his freaking phone one time a week and comment on his fan. All his fans that follow him won't even post, won't comment. See if I can find his freaking name. Let's see. I'm gonna find it. Mitchell Tenpenny, that douchebag. All right, him. Mitchell Tenpenny is who it is. Can't get him to get his phone, open it up, and comment to you. Have you ever noticed how none of your favorite artists, do you ever see them in the comment boxes? Do you ever see them just saying, hey, blah, blah, blah? Occasionally, there's one or two who will. But do they do it all the time? Do they care about you? Is it them messaging you? Now, no, I can't get to everybody who messages me, but I try. I was sitting in my deer stand the other day answering messages, as many as I could. Do they do that? Do they care for you? Here you are. You go to all their concerts, top 20, Billboard. You go to their concerts, you share everything. They fart, sneeze, blink, and everything. It could be, Luke Combs farted 20 purple bubbles today. 10,000 shares. Derek Jonhson got a great song out about someone that passed away. 5 shares. See, it's not about the song. It's not about the emotion. It's not about that. It's not about that at all. All right? It's about controlling you. None of these artists get on there and comment to you. None of them. They don't message you. They don't comment to you. They don't care about you. Yep, in the meet and greet section, they smile. They do what they got to do because they have to. They have to put on a face. They have to do that. All right, because that's part of tickling the balls, as Kid Rock called it. That's the part they have to do. All right? But do they want to do it? Maybe one or two. Because of this. Because you are the ones that make them filthy freaking rich. It's not about the music, though. It's not about the song. It's not about what the song does to your emotions and all that. They know you're out there singing to it, but they have you controlled in another manner. All right? You may be there for the right reasons. You may actually be a good person who the song does affect you in your emotion, but they don't care about you. They could give two rats' asses about you. All they care is that you're doing what? Downloading their music because you don't know how it works. You're going to the shows of theirs. And they also know that you don't know that major record labels have a team of interns. They get Belmont students, they get MTSU students, and Berkeley, but especially the two right there near Nashville, one in Nashville, one in Murfreesboro. They get interns all day long. They're the ones down there running the numbers up on the computers. These people ain't getting 200, 300 million streams because consumers are sitting there all day long. They got interns with multiple windows open all the time, running these algorithms, running these streams up. They get free interns because the interns are also part of the system. They don't know any better. All they know is that there's major record labels and major publishers and radio. They don't know how the intricacy works up here. That's why I have all the secrets. These interns. So here I am sitting with Riser House Executive asking me, do I want a pub deal? Would I ever consider a pub deal? And I'm sitting there on the Billboard chart as an independent artist, and they didn't know what, the only thing that they didn't know was what we spent to get there. Now, the smart part of her was sitting there would be saying, I bet he spent about $800,000 to get where he's at. Because that's what most independent artists do. However, because of who my team is, and because I wrote and write all my songs, except for my first record, but all the stuff I'm putting out now is a lot more even quality than that. Because of who my team is, because of who I write with, and because of my team and my whole setup, my musicians on my record, same ones on her artist, she should have never said that. See, she never dreamt, her and other labels, they never dreamt my numbers would blow up. That's why you, the consumer, do matter. But you, the follower of mine, this is where you put politics aside and you go, hey, we can affect two different portions of the world. All right? Because if you think that God let me go globally viral just for politics, no. I was already had Billboard hits. All right? And I have the very key secret that every single songwriter and artist could take and apply to their career, never having a major record label, never having a publisher, don't need them, and then could get backers and could actually go to the Billboard chart once everything else is intact. That would make you, the consumer, go, oh man. Because if I had 10 or 15 artists that all had the same quality music, but obviously different songs, but again, then you would start believing a lot more because, again, it's all about quality. If music is universal and if music is your escape, then it should be about the music, not the name, and not how you discover. It should be all about the quality of music and how it affects your emotions. If it's about music. See? So it all boils back down to the simplicity of the song and what the song's about. Is it universal? Because if all you do is still support top 20 after that, no, it's not about the music anymore. You're showing how controlled you are. All right. So here I am, sitting with it, asking me what my social media numbers are, and had the audacity to sit there and tell me that Mitchell Tenpenny won't even answer, won't even look up won't even pull up his Instagram page, and then flips around oxymoron and asks me what my social media numbers are, knowing that country music fans don't know how it works, don't follow people because of Billboard. So see, she thought she had me bent over a barrel tenfold to Tulsa and back because she was playing the odds that every other person who's been on Billboard independently never made it. Didn't have the money to. All right, so that was smart on her part. But it wasn't for one reason. Like I told her and her little crap assistant, who was the one she sent to call me afterwards. It was her crap assistant who called me, not her, by the way. And like I told her assistant, I said, first off, I already knew that y'all were not going to sign me. So there's that. Then she wanted to get off the phone really quick. And I said, no, hold on. And I said, I'm sure you'll take this as mansplaining and all these new modern day bullcrap words y'all have made in the industries and the cancel society out there. But I'm going to tell you to it anyway, just because I've been in your shoes before. I've been an agent on the business side of things, not necessarily a creative director and all the other things that this person did. But I said, I've been on this side before. I've been in the business side. All right. I said, everything that y'all talked to me about, you talked to me like I just moved to town a week ago. You didn't talk to me as a guy who had worked with all these major hit artists, all these major hit songwriters, all these major hit producers, who then also in turn had hit producer on my first album, hit songwriters, write with hit songwriters. You talked to me like I just moved to town last week. And you talked to me as if I wasn't sitting on your Billboard chart. I was sitting there on your Billboard chart, and that's how you were talking to me. Asking me what my social media numbers are, knowing that country music fans don't know how this works, so my numbers shouldn't look like your artists. All right, asking me what my revenues and profits were, knowing that fans don't know anything about Billboard. All right, don't know anything about that, so my numbers can't be remotely close to anything that your artist would be. And you let me walk out of there, sitting there telling me that I have more of a resume with hit songwriters and producers that I'm talking about my production work and my songwriting skills. They acknowledge that I have better quality rights than any of their artists and writers put together. And they're willing to let me walk away. Knowing that they control the whole thing. Money and radio. All she had to do was go, yep, you know how the system works. At that time in my life, I was going to play the system because that's what you got to do to have a major record deal. They weren't evil people. See, they're incompetent, but they're not evil. They weren't asking me to, they weren't saying, well, you got to do this, you need to sell this and do that, and do this, nothing like that. So they're not evil. They're just incompetent. Because, again, all she had to do was sign me to a major deal and me be willing to say, yep, I know how the system works. I know you get 85% of touring, royalties, and then merchandise. You put me on tour. I'll be some opening artist for X amount of time. Where you really make your money and your name in country music is when a major record label signs you. When they put you out on a radio tour, if you're a major label, this is the only difference right here. When you're a major record label artist, where you make your biggest name is how much you willing to talk to every day, text, email, drop in, send gifts to all the radio program directors. That's where it's at. If you're a major record label artist. That's it. That's the secret right there. But see, she didn't even give me that chance. I would have done that because she wasn't some evil person. She's just incompetent and stupid. All right, it's stupid to have a guy who has all of the formula, all of the team, all of the formula. It's stupid. That's incompetence. All right, it's not evil, not that part that you hear, Republicans, conservatives, or patriots talking about. They weren't evil. There was nothing like that. They're just incompetent. All right, it's an oxymoron. You're sitting here asking me what my numbers are, but you're telling me your artists don't even do that, which I know that they don't, period, because you have interns who do all those numbers. And then you, the consumers out there, go, oh, man, so-and-so's new song has 40 million streams in a week. Interns. There's not that many people going all day. Because how would all of them have 40 million streams? How would all of them have 20 million? Even just a million. How would that many artists in 1 week's time have that many? That would mean people would be listening to music a lot more in places that they shouldn't be. They wouldn't be getting jobs done, etc. All right? So, again, my last meeting, and I told the little assistant, I said, you can treat this as mansplaining and all these other words that y'all use today in your cancel culture, but I said, I can tell you this, I don't give a dang about your record deals anymore. I said, I've already been through enough record label meetings to know that you're all incompetent. It's a man-made system. I have everything that every artist and songwriter should have and have it, and you're still letting me walk out. So it shows again that I know too much about your system. You can't control me. And I said, personally, you can shove it so far up your butt. Man, I don't remember what pun I used at the time, but I used a good one, that they could shove it. All right. And I said, but I know one thing. If I ever blow up in social media, I said, if I ever slip through the crack and I blow up, I'm going to expose this whole system. And I'm going to show how incompetent all of you are. And I'm going to show the people, whether they want to listen or not, but I'm going to talk about it every time I get a chance. If I blow up in social media, I'm going to show the people how incompetent you people are. It's not about music. It's not about talent. They can take anybody any given day, swipe of the pen, put them on some good music, have their team, promotion teams call up all the program directors in the radio system they control in the monopoly, say, hey, got a new artist, blah, 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 da, 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 da. Done. That's how it works. So all of you artists and songwriters, this is really for you, because obviously the viewers don't really care. The ones that are here do. But the one, a lot of people just don't care because, one, they didn't know about it. Two, I'm direct and straightforward. It sounds like I'm condescending sometimes. I'm not. I'm just tired, exhausted. I'm tired of incompetence all around the world. I'm also tired of people who will, like J.D. Vance said this week, don't piss in my boot and call it rainwater. All right? So, same thing. I'm tired of people who are lazy and incompetent all around the board, who complain about something, but then don't want to do something about it when there's someone who says, hey, there's a solution to it. You have the power to do it, but you got to have the power. You got to empower yourself, and you got to take authority, take control. You have to help. So you, the consumer, you, my followers especially, you could help this out a lot. All right. So in the future, here's what I'm doing. I've already told someone what I'm going to do is I've got 2 or 3 artists, and I'm planning on getting more, but I'm going to start writing for them, writing with them, writing for them. They will have funding, all right? And I have backers for that if I need it, but I may fund it myself. But still, I have the musicians. I can make this happen. I can put every single hit musician, they've all been nominated, every one of them, on the same slots. All right? Same quality music. So, again, if you're an artist, songwriter out there, don't get the cart before the horse. You need quality music. You need name power with the musicians. You need name power at the production level. You need name power everywhere. Because, again, if they wouldn't sign me, they ain't getting you. All right? It don't work like that. All right? So, the way we do it, though, is the more quality music that's out there and the more quality production that's out there, the consumers will start maybe listening more, and the more we make them aware of how this works, then we write quality music that affects their lives, that speaks to them in some way. That's how you can control country music. That's how you flip it back around. And you, the consumer, all you have to do is do what we say. When we say pre-save this song, pre-save it. It's real simple. A lot of you now do use technology. Spotify, Apple, whatever you're doing. If you're streaming or downloading, all you got to do is pre-save it. Simple. Then, when you go to bed at night, even if you don't want to listen to the music, mute the volume, hit the repeat button, and keep our music on repeat, on cycle. All right? It's real simple. That's how you run the numbers up. You know, same thing. So you take control, you take authority, you take power. All right, but everybody needs to tag any artist or songwriter you know. Especially on Instagram, when I post a video over there, because all the live comments go away. All of you that have been watching, you're loyal. All of you watching, loyal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. So I appreciate that. And, I'll be live again sometime this week talking about, obviously, what's been going on elsewhere. But this matters to me as well. This is where my passion really is music. All right, because it is universal. It's supposed to be. All right, but we got to clean this out. All right, you followers have to, you have to start getting more control of this as well. So if everybody will tag an artist or a songwriter who is actively thinking they got a chance, thinking they got a shot, they don't. They don't. Don't let them waste their time and their money and their energy on the Nashville portion. You need someone like me who's been there, done that, who was willing to step out and blackball myself. Never going to have a record deal. None of that from the major side. Don't care. Don't want it because I know too much. I already know. So you needed someone like me who can put the same level of production and quality behind them and save them time, save them energy, and also help them keep the cart behind the horse. And then when they do display their talents, display their music, it's going to be quality. And it'll give them better of a chance than it would have in the beginning. So there's two things that has to happen. That for the artist-songwriter, and then you, the consumer. You have the authority. You have the power. You have the control. Stop being lazy. Stop acting like you can't know. You can know. All right? And then when you think the little devil or whatever you want to call it hops up on your shoulder and go, well, hey, I've Googled there and I can't find the billboard. Stop. I have proof of that. Sammy Kershaw's page again. All right? Billboard chart. It's on there. Derek Jonhson. I was right above his name. All right? He's saying, well, I may be last on the chart, but we had just come on the chart. So he put it up. It's forever there. All right? A lot of people have forgotten about Sammy Kershaw. A lot of people know him, but a lot of people forgotten about. He's a 90s artist too. Had a lot of hits. But at that time, he was the oldest singer who had charted a Billboard hit. Did all your platforms talk about it? Nope. That's a disgrace to country music. We're talking about a legend who was the oldest singer to chart a Billboard hit, and all of a sudden, all of your quote-unquote platforms out there that call themselves we're the publications, they don't want to talk about it. What an atrocity to country music, especially Sammy Kershaw. I mean, it's unbelievable. And the fans out there, all right? So when you get the little negative there's a reason they don't put it public. And the more and more the internet's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, the more secret society they've been. But I have all the secrets. All of them. We can change it. We can get better, competent people in, and we can make this more about talent. That way, for the future, again, this won't happen to certain people that happened to me and a bunch of other people. All right? So, I'm going to close with that. But again, when Instagram, when I repost a video, tag every artist and songwriter you know. Also on Facebook, same thing. All right? If you have an Instagram, you're not on there yet, get on Instagram. Derek Jonhson Country. DERAK, my only Instagram. So many fake accounts. God help us. God help us all. The fake accounts out there are getting overwhelming. But anyway, my link tree has all of my new, I have a new TikTok. So it has all of my links to all of my social media platforms. If there is not a social media account on that link tree, it is not mine. I don't know how many times I got to say that. There's already a fake page. I put up a video on TikTok and I listed all of my official accounts. There's a fake page who posted this video of me telling my official accounts, and it's on a fake page. I mean, that is the world we live in. Boy, and they got followers. They have, not a many, but there's some fake pages that have 20, 30, 40, 100,000 followers. Think about that. Fake pages. Now, so my link tree, linktr.ee/1776 nation. It'll be in the comment boxes. Linktree, linktr. That's where the period goes between the R and the E. r.ee/1776 nation. All right, all of my official accounts on there. All right. Also, this whole thing's about this book right here, The Royal Flush of Country Music. All right, I do have my other book, one of them handy. This is my brand new book right here. This is the big boy here. This is part 2 of The Midnight Rider Rides Again. All right, this is part 2. See, it's mostly pictures of the front. There's not a lot of, heavy, crazy. The reading really starts way back here. See, right in here. Actually, not even that far. Right there. #1 bestsellers. Both of them. Well, all 3 of them. I don't have part 1. I do, but it's not nearby. Man, beautiful buckle. All right, #1 bestseller. So I can't be too crazy. #1 bestseller. All right, books. It's amazing that people read today, which is awesome. But again, I've been there, done that. I'm the one that should have never let get away. Which is going to be the title of it. I'll put it on Rumble as well. Rumble video. So if you want to share the video portion like that, it'll have a link. So Rumble. If you get on rumble.com and you go to the search bar and type in Rattletrap, RATTLETRAP 1776, my account pulls up that way. You can find that link there when I get this posted. So be sure to share this video with all your friends and family who are singer-songwriters, and or if you have friends or friends of friends, however, whatever, that know singer-songwriters. This is how we do it. But it's country singers. Make sure that they got some kind of country in them. All right, not because they took a wrong turn in Podunk, Kansas, and it turned into a slosh pit, and the other side their truck was real muddy. They go, oh man, I took a wrong turn on the dirt road one time, and I saw some horses along the way, and yeah, man, that just inspired me to sing a song about, Anyway, it's just so funny what they call country today. God help us all. Hey, when Alan Jackson sang "The Whole World's Gone Country," Lord have mercy, he didn't mean to butcher it and to twist it. Boy. I guess George Jones should have really sang "Who's Gonna Fill Their Boots," because they definitely filled the shoes part out. They didn't fill the boots though. So it's time we get back to some real country music and some real country people. All right, so we'll see y'all soon. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching the few that did. That means a lot more to me than 2 or 3 or 4, 10,000, 20, whatever the numbers could be. So I appreciate you guys being here tonight, guys and gals. Guys applies obviously universally these days. So you gals out there, it's the females who rock the world anyway. It's the females who've been the patriots. It's the females who have been the true eye openers for people. So all of you female patriots, if I had everything to give you, I'd give it to you. But God's going to have to do that for you. God's the only one who can reward all of you females who have really dug in, you've studied, you've read, you found all, and put it all together, you piecemealed it yourself as well. And you gone and been the feet on the ground, the boots on the ground, as the saying is. You guys and gals, let's just talk about the ladies. Y'all bring the real boots on the ground. So if there's a way I could give you a reward, I would. And I would lay down any crown I would get in heaven for a lot of you females out there who have done the work, because y'all have really done it. And a lot of you may not even get the credit a lot of you deserve. So I try to do it for you just because I know a lot of you. I I know some by name I could call out that have really hit the ground, and I mean, I'm talking about gone, and I mean, they've bought books, hundreds of books, and given them out themselves. I mean, we're talking about some amazing people out there. So there's a lot of you who are so truly amazing, and you won't maybe get the credit you deserve on a national level, and even international for that matter. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'll give it to you. You come right here and I'll give it to you, because I know the ones that have read and have studied and applied and piecemealed and put it together, and you started small groups, and you've had groups and coffee and, you know, wine get together, all these other things, and, you know, and you've had like small groups. I mean, that is awesome. That's where it's at right there. So if everybody take the same attitude with especially country music, my passion, you know, all the other music needs it too, but country music, then everything could change. Everything could be cleaned out, and we could get the right people. And a lot of you gals could actually take those positions. You could actually be those executives, calling those shots, and being the discoverers of talent, and then also piecemealing that. And then, I mean, again, that's what we're talking about. You could actually be in those spots. And I know how to get you there. I know every intricate detail of this whole system. So make sure these videos